Hey folks, how's it going? I hope you're all doing awesome. Hope you're all having a wonderful Sunday. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend thus far. Thank you all for taking the time to hang out. Buongiorno, as they say in this part of the world, right? We are in Napoli, Italy. The birthplace of pizza, if I remember correctly. In fact, not sure how many of you are familiar with with that song that Dean Martin used to croon, right? About the moon hitting your eye like a big pizza pie. You know, the song that goes, "When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie." You know that song? Yeah, that's apparently about this place. That's apparently about this place right here. So this is the birthplace of pizza, where apparently, what I recently discovered to my horror was that if you order pizza in Napoli, you're supposed to eat it with a knife and a fork. So you're supposed to eat it super proper, like unlike the scene in the U.S. where you just go at it caveman style with your hands and all that stuff. But I hope you're all doing awesome. Thanks for hanging out today. Southwest Guy, Kyle Longley, James T, Chris Devlantes, Juan Mendez, Absolutely Aviation, William Baez, anybody else is in chat that hasn't chimed in yet, welcome. Thank you all for taking the time to hang out today. Hope you're all doing amazing. Thanks for hanging out. So, for those of you who've been watching my streams recently, you probably noticed that I've been on a bit of a kick here, that I've been kind of kicking it old school recently, with sort of a slant whiskey and slant alpha obsession. So we've been flying aircraft like the DC-6, the 727, and the DC-9 as well. So now we're back at the DC-9, and we're going to be flying in Europe, which is the first time in a while that we've actually flown in Europe on stream, so I'm kind of excited to be doing this. So we're going to be flying from here in Napoli to Corfu in Greece, which is just about 300 miles to the east. So should be a nice, fun, short hop today. And as usual, while we do these sort of old-school slant whiskey operations, we're going to launch right now into kind of a detailed discussion around our Ifr Flight Plan, the routing, the different navaids we're going to be using, radials, bearings, altitudes, all that jazz to help us fly this route and fly this route well. So let's go ahead and hop into the flight planning here, or an overview of the flight plan at least, and let's kind of talk through our game plan as I catch up on chat here. Let me cue up some chill music here real quick. There we go. Just gonna bump that up a smidgen. There we go. All right, and let's go ahead and pull up the flight plan on screen. All right. Okay, hopefully y'all can see this. You should be able to see it, I suspect. Okay, so we're going to be flying from Napoli, Italy. So Naples, Italy is on the Mediterranean coast, obviously. It's on the western coast of Italy. And actually, let's go back to the P3D scene real quick. I meant to point this out earlier. But that big mountain that you saw in the intro, that big volcano there, that's, of course, the famous, perhaps infamous Mount Vesuvius, right? You probably have heard of it from such hits as Pompeii, right? Kind of getting politically incorrect here, but that's Mount Vesuvius. Pretty dangerous active volcano, actually, that's incredibly, shockingly close to the city of Naples. So there you go. That's Mount Vesuvius there. Okay, let's hop back into the flight planning window here, and let's talk about our game plan. Kyle says they should slap in some good old G1000s. That would defeat the purpose, don't you think? That would kind of defeat the purpose. Anyway, let's talk through our game plan today. So we're going to go from Napoli, Italy. This is Capodichino Airport. Identifier is Lima, India, Romeo, November. Lima, India, Romeo, November. To Corfu, Italy. Corfu, Greece. The identifier for the Corfu airport is Lima Golf Kilo Romeo. And the reason we're doing a bit of a circuitous route today to Corfu is because we're going to be flying airways. Obviously, we got to fly airways, and specifically jet routes, you know, versus your, I don't know what they're called in Europe, but in the States, we've got GPS routes, you know, typically, I think they're like Tango routes and Mike routes, if I remember correctly, in the US, but as opposed to, or Q routes, sorry, Q routes and Tango routes, but they're probably named differently in Europe. Anyway, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be flying routes that are based off of VOR or NDB navaids. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So going off of Naples, Italy here, using the POLIT 5A departure. So essentially, I think the winds are out of the west today, so we're going to be departing using this initial climb chart. Basically, roughly, you know, around runway heading, just slightly to the left of runway heading here. And then we're going to be flying a heading of 180 as soon as we cross the departure end of the runway, until we intercept the 162 radial, the 342 radial inbound to the Sorrento VOR. The Sorrento VOR has a frequency of 112.2. So we're going to be flying that inbound to the Sorrento VOR. And then we're going to fly the POLIT 5 Alpha departure out of Sorrento. So we're going to be flying the 137 radial outbound until we get to the POLIT fix. And we're going to cross POLIT about flight level 9 or 0. Transition altitude is 8,000 feet for this airport. So once we get to the POLIT fix, we're going to continue on this airway here, the Mike 620 airway. We're going to continue on that airway. Our cruising altitude today is planned to be flight level 29 or 0. We're going to be continuing on that airway until we get to a fix called SOMAS, SOMAS. At that point, we're going to turn left to join the 096, the 276 radial inbound to the Crotone VOR. Frequency there is 117.1, and so we're going to be continuing on this airway to the Mike 601 airway here, all the way to the Crotone VOR, and then at Crotone we're going to go outbound on the 075 radial on the Lima 869 airway to a fix called LATAN. And I think this is basically the border between, you know, the FIR that's controlling for Italian airspace and the FIR that's controlling for like Athens and Greece. Yeah, that's essentially what that says. So at that point, we're going to be entering Greek airspace. We're going to be continuing on the Uniform Lima 869 airway. And actually at that point, we're joining the arrival routing, which is the LATAN 2 uniform arrival to the Kirkira VOR. So we're going to be flying the 256 radial inbound to Kirkira. Frequency is 114.7. So that's basically it. You know, this is actually a relatively straightforward routing. It sounds kind of complex until you actually dive deep into it. It's not that complex anymore. And now, once we actually get to the Kirkira VOR, we've got a variety of options for some pretty cool raw data approaches that we can shoot. So there's actually a locator alpha approach. This is an NDB approach that I'm thinking about potentially flying into runway 34 at Kirkira, at Corfu later on, but I'm not sure. You know, we might do this. Alternatively, you know, we might fly like the VOR uniform, VOR Tango. There's a whole bunch of like VOR options as well in case we don't want to do the NDB arrival, but we'll see what I'm in the mood for later. I'm really kind of tempted to do an NDB approach, but the challenge with an NDB approach is I got to make sure that I'm super familiar with how to tune the ADF, and that's a little quirky on this airplane, as I'm going to show you, but we'll figure that out later. The one thing I want to talk about right now, though, is actually, let me go back here real quick. Let me see what the MSA is. MSA is 4,500 feet coming in from the west. So let's assume that I want to be at BEDX, that fix right there, at about 5,000 feet, let's say, right? So we're cruising at flight level 290, and I want to be at BEDX at 5,000, okay? Let me catch up on chat here real quick. Pilot Krish and Raptor Aviation, how are you both doing? Sorry I missed you. Thanks for hanging out today. Hope you're both doing awesome. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend like everybody else in chat is, and thanks for hanging out today. And William Baez, if you're still around, once again, no worries whatsoever about missing streams. I hope you've been able to receive notifications for the VODs at least. But thanks for hanging out, my friend. I hope you and everyone else who's in chat is doing amazing. Thank you all for hanging out today. So anyway, I wanted to do my top and descent calculations, right? So the distance between... Okay, first of all, I want to descend from flight level 290 down to 5,000 feet, right? So let's do the math on this real quick. 290 minus 5. Correction, I got to do this again. The calculation is actually 29 minus 5. So we got to lose 24,000 feet. 24 times 3, that gives us 72 miles. So I'm using the rules of 3 there. So I want to start my descent probably 80 miles out because we have a tailwind from out of the west as well. So I want to descend about 80 miles out from the BEDX fix. BEDX is located, let's see. BEDX is located at a distance of 23 plus 12, so that's 35 miles from LATAN. Let's go back to the airway here. So that's 35 already to LATAN. And then LATAN to the Gemwe fix there is 57 miles. Okay, so let's do the math on this. 35 plus 57, that gives me 92. So basically, what this means is that I want to start my descent 80 minus 35. So about 45 to 50 miles out from LATAN is when I want to start my descent. Okay, so how do I figure out what that distance is from LATAN, right? I'm flying raw data today. I don't have like a GPS sort of indication of where LATAN is. I can identify LATAN one of two ways. One is I can find out if there's another VOR that fix is based off of. It is an intersection, right? By definition, an intersection is defined by what? The intersection of two radials, like two VOR radials or two airways. So my guess is, yeah, so that's the one way I can identify it. There's the other VOR and the other radial I can use to potentially identify LATAN. I can use the Kefalonia VOR, frequencies 115.1, and the 312 radial from Kefalonia to identify LATAN. Another way I can do it is to look for whatever the Kirkira VOR's, DME, I could find out whether or not there's a co-located DME with that VOR. And if you look at the chart, there is a DME there, right? You got a square box there, so there is a DME there. So the DME readout from LATAN is, I think it's 39 plus 12, right? So this fix right here is 39 DME. This little unmarked fix, right? It doesn't have a name. It just says 39 DME from Kirkira. That is an unnamed fix. So 39 plus 12 will give me the distance to LATAN. So 39 plus 12 is, that's 41, right? Correction, not 51, not 41, 51. So 51 miles out from LATAN, correction, let me rephrase that. 51 miles out from the Kirkira VOR is how I'm going to identify LATAN. So what that means is I want to start my descent 80 minus 35, okay? Which is 45. I'm going to round that up to 50. So 50 plus that DME readout is 101. So I want to start my descent 101 miles out from the Kirkira VOR. Okay, so that's my top of descent. Sorry, that was a little drawn out, but essentially I wanted to calculate my top of descent point, and I have it. So 101 miles out from the Kirkira VOR on that airway, the Lima 869 airway is when I want to start my descent. Portland Aviation, how's it going? David Dempster, how are you doing, my friend? Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're both doing great. Okay, so we got our routing, we got our navaid frequencies, We got the radials we're going to be using. We got our top and descent calculations done. Let's go ahead and hop into the cockpit here, and let's go ahead and start setting some things up. So it's midday right now in Naples, at least the time of day that I have set in the sim. So this airplane has been on a few hops already. It's already powered up by the previous crew that flew it. I just want to make sure that everything is topped off in terms of fuel, oil, etc. So let's go into the dispatch and flight center here, and let's just make sure we've got our passengers loaded on board. We're carrying 75 passengers today, carrying about 14,000 pounds. The flight plan called for at least 13,000. I'm going to add an extra 1,000 on there, just at captain's discretion there, just in case. And looks like we got all our numbers for takeoff Ifr, V speeds. Max continuous is 1.86 on the Ifr. Go around 1.96. V speeds 132, 135, 143. And we're going to be doing a flaps 5 takeoff. Stab trim 2.7. And outside air temperature is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This is all looking good. So let's go ahead and send this off to the airplane. So now the airplane's been sitting for a while with the APU running, obviously, so I want to make sure that I top off the fuel that I burned, just kind of blabbing away here. So that's all done. I'm going to set my altitude selector here down a bit lower. Let's say about 9,000 for now. Talk about why in a little bit. And let's start closing some things up here. So Naples, Italy, by the way, this airport, as far as I know, does not have any jetways, right? So it's all kind of old school, air stair type style, kind of like open air boarding, right? This is super cool. I kind of like that. That is that kind of old school boarding that they do with this airplane. I guess the weather in Naples is always pretty much nice. I'm guessing it's really kind of like nice Mediterranean type weather, so it kind of makes sense that you don't really need jetways in this kind of climate, right? Okay, let's go ahead and close some things up here. So we're going to go to ground ops here. I'm going to close the aft stairs. So actually, in order to fully close the aft stairs, I want to make sure my aux hydraulic pump is on. So otherwise, it's going to keep going back and forth there. So that's kind of a bug with the system. So I'm going to do that. There we go. Aft stairs have been closed. Now let's go to the other side, and let's go ahead and close or retract the forward air stairs, and we'll close the main exit. And let's close the forward and aft cargo doors as well. There we go. It's pretty cool. The DC-9 actually came pre-packaged with its own sort of air stairs that were kind of, stowed underneath the main cabin door there. So that's kind of cool. All right, all doors and hatches have been buttoned up and locked down here. Let's go ahead and do our checklist here. Our before start checklist. So before start checklist is there, let me catch up on chat as we get going. Yeah, it is a beautiful airplane for sure, there, Portland Aviation. In fact, I'm not sure... We did stream in this airplane before a few weeks ago, actually a few months ago. We did a stream where we looked at the history of inter-island jet service in the Hawaiian Islands, and the first airplane type that we flew on that stream was the Coolsky DC-9. And as I mentioned on that stream, right, it's super cool that this airplane, in my opinion at least, is now available for P3D version 4. This was one of my favorite aircraft to fly for FSX. It's incredibly well modeled. In fact, I would argue it's definitely study level, on the same level as potentially as PMDG, definitely on the same level as the Leonardo Mad Dog. Maybe even, arguably approaching the FS Lab. So it's got a whole bunch of failure scenarios you can activate. It's pretty amazing just how much detail there is in this add-on. And for all the stuff it gives you, right, it's incredibly reasonably priced. especially if you own the old FSX version. You know, I think you get a pretty decent sized discount to upgrade to this. Anyway, this is all looking good here. Let's go ahead and pull up our checklist, and we'll get going shortly. David, I am doing great. I hope you are as well. Pilot Krish, I do indeed have Flytampa Corfu. I think I listed the add-ons that I'm using in the description, so yeah, definitely have that. That's part of the reason we're going to be flying into Corfu, because I absolutely, as you can imagine, love that scenery. So yeah, we're definitely going to fly into Corfu and enjoy checking out that scenery. Okay, let's hop up to the overhead here. Actually, correction. Let's check out the fuel gauges first. Let's make sure that our fuel quantity is looking good. Yep, we got the requisite amount of fuel in the left and right tanks, about 7,000 pounds approximately in the left and right tanks. Center tank is empty, that makes sense. So let's check off the first
fuel
item.
Quantity required on board.
Checked, and we've got about 14,000 pounds on board. We only need about 13,000 required. Oil and hydraulic quantities checked.
Oil and hydraulic quantities checked.
Okay, seatbelt sign is on.
Seatbelt sign on.
That's up here. No smoking sign on as well. Since we're flying a DC-9, we're going to turn that off obviously later. Probe windshield heat needs to be set to the captain position there.
Probe windshield on captain on.
All the knobs and switches here are like pretty old school, right? So you got these old school kind of like rotary knobs that can be selected to any number of positions. It's pretty cool. Fuel pumps are on for the left and right, aft and forward pumps. So forward, so the left and right, aft and forward fuel pump switches are on. The center aft and forward fuel pump switches are off, obviously, because we don't have fuel in the center tank.
Fuel pumps checked on.
And then cabin pressurization panel. This is what got us on our stream yesterday in the 727, because I forgot to turn the packs on after after takeoff, or not after takeoff. I forgot to turn on the packs after the engine started. I can't forget to do that again this time. But we do have the cabin pressurization settings set up correctly here. So all we need to do is set up the landing altitude and the landing barrel later for Corfu, and the airplane will pressurize the cabin properly as we gain altitude. So where I'll get there, that's set accordingly.
Cabin pressure panel set. Altimeters set.
Altimeters 2952, that's
Radios
checked.
Set.
Radios, actually got to set that right now. Let's make sure we set the correct frequencies. So let me go ahead actually, and I'm going to pull up on my iPad, I'm going to pull up the initial climb chart for Cappuccino Airport. So give me 1 second here to do that real quick. I'm just going to pull up my air server client. And by the way, whenever I mirror my iPad on screen recently, I've noticed that there is a lag and sometimes a little bit of frame rate drops in with my streaming setup. So let me know in case you see any sort of like frame rate drop or the stream cutting out or anything like that, and I can switch back to a different way of looking at these charts. So I'm going to pull up my iPad on screen. Hopefully y'all can see it. So we're looking at the initial climb procedure out of Naples, Italy. So the winds are coming out of the west, like I mentioned. It's 270 at 8 knots approximately. So we're going to be departing off of runway 24, right? The runways at Naples, Italy are 2406. So we're going to be departing off of 24, and the departure procedure is listed here. Add the departure end of the runway, which is at 0.5 DME from the November Papa Charlie VOR. That's the Cappuccino localizer. That's frequency 0.15. I'm going to tune that into nav 2 here, just so I have that for reference. 0.15. Or, correction, add the departure end of the runway on a 222 degree track at 1,200 feet, but not further than 2 DME from the localizer, or 7.2 DME from the Pomigliano VOR, that's 117.85. I can have either one of these set. I'm just going to have the localizer set. We're going to turn left, maximum speed in the turn of 180 knots on a 180 degree heading to intercept the Sorrento 342 radial inbound on the 162 degree bearing towards the Sorrento NDB to the Gemma fix. And we cross Gemma at or about 4,000. So let's go ahead and set up our navaids here as per that initial climb chart that we just looked at. Okay, so I'm going to tune in the Sorrento VOR in nav 1, so 112.2. James 2, how's it going? No worries, James 2. We'll catch you next time. Will Dewey, how you doing, Will? Good to see you again. Yep, more Slant whiskey flying for sure. Will, you want to check out the WOD for that? I'm gonna leave it to you to check out the VOD because it was crazy. It was a lot of fun though, and that was in the 727 actually. I wish I was flying the DC-9 because the 727, especially with my active sky for X-plane settings, made the landing and approach for that matter into SFO with those high winds a lot more challenging than it needed to be. Okay, I'm going to set my heading bug here to 180 as per that initial climb chart, and I'm going to set my course to 162. So 162 course is the opposite of the 342 radial, and we want to track the 342 radial inbound. So there we go, we got that set up properly. Let's go back to the chart on the iPad here, and let's confirm we have this set up correctly. Okay, I'm just going to move things a little bit. Hopefully you can see the iPad on one side, and at the same time, hopefully you can see actually you can see both at the same time. That's good. And you can see the HSI, right? So, okay, I've got the Sorrento VOR tuned into nav 112.2. And I've got the 162 radial tuned in on the HSI there. I've got my course, my heading bugged to 180, basically due set there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off. I'm going to manually fly a heading of about 222 until I get to the departure end of the runway. So pretty much right over the departure end of the runway, I'm going to immediately hang a left towards the 180 heading until I see the needle coming in. When I see the needle coming in, I'm going to track inbound on the 342 radial towards the Sorrento VOR. And let's take a look at everything else here on the chart. Transition altitude is 8,000. There are noise abatement procedures required. For runway 24, we're going to climb at the max climb gradient, but no less than 583 feet per nautical mile, a 9.6% climb gradient until leaving 3,000 feet. So pretty steep climb here because of all the terrain, right? There is a RNAV fix here, but we're going to disregard that for this. Initial climb clearance for runway 24 is actually 3,500 feet. So I'm going to put in 3,500 feet there on the altitude selector. So that's set there, 3,500. We'll level off at 3,500. Actually, you know what? We're going to be at Gemma in no time. So we might just for laughs, just sort of manually level off at 3,500, but then we'll start climbing immediately up to 4,000 after that. Okay, so we got the initial climb chart, but there is a second part to this. We're going to be doing the POLIT 5 Alpha departure. Once again, the transition altitude is still 8,000, right? But after we get to the Sorrento VOR, we want to cross Sorrento at or above 6,000 feet, right? You see it there? And then we want to continue on the 137 radial to cross POLIT above flight level 9 or 0. So we got that. Okay, that's basically it. That's our departure procedure. And once we get to POLIT, we're going to continue on the Mike 620 airway all the way down to the SOMAS fix. So we got that. All right, so we're all good there. Let's go ahead and hide the iPad away, and we'll get going shortly. Continue through our before start checklist, and before you know it, we'll be powering back in no time. Let me stop mirroring my iPad there, save some precious CPU computer resources. But let's continue through our before start checklist here. Radios are set. That's done. Let's do our takeoff warning. In order to do the takeoff warning, all I'm going to do is stand up the throttles past 50%. We're going to listen for that horn that you're hearing there. That is the warning horn to let me know that I don't have the aircraft properly configured for takeoff. So obviously I do have the aircraft right now not properly configured, but later on we're going to do that same test again with the aircraft properly configured, and you're not going to hear that horn. So that's checked. Just want to make sure that works.
Check.
Parking brake is set. That's down here. It's set.
Parking brake set or off.
Departure review. Let's just make sure we got our takeoff numbers here. We're going to send that off to the not the PFD. I'm thinking G1000 here. We're going to send that off to the airspeed indicator. Takeoff Ifr 1.9 or 6. V speeds 130, 134, 141. And flaps and slats retraction speeds basically 180. So there we go. We got that. And actually, we forgot to talk about our taxi route here. So let's pull up the iPad once again real quick and talk about our taxi route. So just going to pull that up, and let me catch up on chat. Night Shadow, how's it going, my friend? Ralph Muller, good to see you. Ralph Muller from Chile. Hola to you, Ralph Muller. Hope you're doing well. Let me go ahead and pull up my iPad on screen, and let's talk about our taxi route, so that we can be fully briefed for our departure today. So we're located at, what is the stand that we're located at? Stand 19er. That's the stand we're located at today. So we're at stand 19er. We're gonna power back. We're gonna kick it old school today. We don't need no stinking pushback tug, right? We can just power back using our own power in the good old DC-9 here. So we're going to power back from the stand here onto taxiway. What is that taxiway? That's not really a taxiway. That's just a you know, a taxi lane, right? Whatever that is. That might be Sierra Charlie actually, or Delta. I'm not sure. It's a little hard to tell exactly what these labels are. Anyway, we're going to power back there, and then we're going to pull forward, and we're going to head down this taxi lane. Tango Sierra, is that what this is? I think it's Tango Sierra. So we're going to head down Tango Sierra all the way to Golf, and correction, to Foxtrot, and we'll hold short of 24 for departure at Foxtrot. So there we go. And we do have failures modeled in this airplane, by the way. At some point, you know, we do have to do a no failures anticipated stream where we do trigger some engine failures, maybe even a bird strike or two in this airplane. It's a lot of fun. It's super fun. We got to do that at some point. Note to self, we got to do a no failures anticipated stream in the Coolsky DC-9 because it's a lot of fun. Anyway, that's our taxi route. We're going to depart using the departure procedure we talked about earlier. Any failures before V1, obviously, we're going to hit the brakes, get the reversers out, and try and stop on the runway. Any failures after V1, we're going to deal with the problem airborne. Pending that, the departure procedure that we discussed earlier. So that's it. That is our departure brief, fully completed, hopefully. Let's go ahead and hide the iPad away. And I'm going to stop mirroring my iPad as well. And we're going to be good to go here. Let me catch up on chat. Rice Cooker 2000, how's it going? Will says a little dicey. Yeah, exactly. Portland says the interior of this aircraft actually looks Russian. So Portland, the MD-80 also, by the way, had an option for this sort of like powder blue interior paint job. Ben Montgomery, who's a real-world A320 pilot and one of our mods on stream, right? He was mentioning, he was joking around that with an interior like this, you could never fall asleep. And I would agree with that. At least with these colors, I'd find it very, very hard to fall asleep. So I'm sure, you know, back in the 60s, 50s, you know, that era, there were probably some pretty good human factors reasons for painting an airplane this color. Well, you don't see it anymore, right? You don't see it anymore. Anyway, departure review is complete. Let's go ahead and check that item off.
Complete.
Let's get the anti-collision light on.
Anti-collision lights on.
Ignition can be set to both.
Ignition. A, B, or both.
Air conditioning supply off. I gotta make sure that I turn those packs back to auto
Air conditioning
later.
supply off.
Pneumatic crossfeeds to open, so the pneumatic crossfeeds are down here. As long as you get these levers with the white knobs in the up position, so that's the down position. If I get into the up position, they're open.
Pneumatic crossfeed pressure open, checked. Before start checklist complete.
Okay, before start checklist is complete. Let's go ahead and do our engine start here. Engine start procedure is pretty straightforward. 1 second here, we're squawking VFR, I don't like that. We're gonna squawk something that's more appropriate for an Ifr flight plan. Engine start procedure is very, very straightforward. I'm just gonna unguard the start switch. We're gonna start the right engine first and then the left engine. And then I'm gonna move the start switch, the master starter switch, into the ground position.
Right engine.
We're starting right engine. So now I'm watching for N2 to rise there. There's N2. Right there, that's N2. I'm going to watch for N2 to rise somewhere between 15 to 20%. And then I'm going to move the fuel control lever into the on position. So fuel shutoff switch to the on position. And we're going to watch for N1 to come up. There's N1. We got fuel flow. And we got an exhaust temp rise there. There we go. So, engine 2 is starting up. All right, there we go. Looks like a good start on engine 2. Starter cut out. Let's go ahead and guard the right starter switch. Let's check the amps and volts from the right engine generator. We got good volts. Gonna wait on the frequency thing to come in. That should come in a bit later, hopefully. Okay, let's go ahead and start up the left engine while that's going on. So left starter to ground. There we go. Once again, just gonna wait for N2 to come up. There's N2 coming up. Gonna watch for it to rise to between 15 to 20%. That's about maximum motoring in the DC-9. And there's 15 to 20% fuel switch into the on position. Introducing fuel into the engine, we got N1 starting to come up there. We got fuel flow, exhaust temp rise, and engine 1 should be starting up as well. There we go. Night Shadow, how's it going? It's about noon in the sim. So sim time is somewhere between 11 a.m. and noon. Basically, it's pizza time. I was mentioning at the start of the stream that Napoli in Italia is the birthplace of pizza. Except, as I discovered to my horror, here in Napoli, Italy, the Italians prefer, if you order a pizza at a restaurant, they prefer to eat their pizzas with a knife and a fork. So all proper, you know, here in Naples, Italy. No caveman style digging in with your hands like we do in the States. Pizza is a proper eating experience here in Naples, Italy, apparently. And you know that old Dean Martin song that Dean Martin used to croon, right? About the moon hitting your eye like a big pizza pie. You know that song? That's apparently about this place. Napoli, Italy. Okay, good start on number 1 as well. Let's go ahead and close the guard on the left starter. And let's check amps and volts on the left engine. Volts are coming up. The frequency should be coming in as well. On the right side, we've got frequency showing about 400. That's good. We got good volts. Just going to wait for the frequency to jump up. The indications to come in there. There it is. So we got both left and right generators functioning properly. I'm going to get the galley power on. I'm going to get my pneumatic crossfeed valves into the close position. The down position there. and I'm going to get my packs to auto. And we can go ahead and turn the ignition into the off position for now. And let's also turn off the APU air off, APU master off. Don't need that anymore. All right, awesome. Let's go ahead and do our after start checklist here. So after start checklist is what's next.
Checklist.
Annunciator panel checked.
Annunciator panel checked.
That's all looking good. We just got a few annunciations here for the anti-skid. The anti-skid stays off until we're clear of the ramp area. Once we're clear of the ramp area, then we can arm the anti-skid, and those annunciation lights should go off.
Ignition off.
Ignition is
Engine
off.
anti-ice on or off.
It's off. No need for anti-ice on departure today.
Electrical system checked. Air conditioning supply auto.
Okay, so we checked the electrical system, galley power is on, and air conditioning supply is in auto. That's good. And then let's set our hydraulic system for the departure here. So hydraulic systems, there's 4 pumps here, or 4 pump switches. The alternate hydraulic pump switch needs to go to on, so that goes on. The engine hydraulic pumps for the left and right engines go to the high position, and the aux hydraulic pump switch goes to the on position. I had it in the on position earlier because we retracted the aft air stairs. So on, high, and on, that's it.
Hydraulic system on, high, on, checked.
And the check part of that particular item in the checklist, that is for you to check the hydraulic pressure. So you got 2 hydraulic pressure gauges here above the pump switches. You want to make sure those are both indicating in the high green band. So there's a low green band there between about, somewhere around 1500 psi, and then there's a high green band around 3000 psi. You want to make sure that the hydraulic pressure gauges are both indicating in the high green band. So that's set.
Door lights and lock checked.
Door lights and lock is checked.
Shoulder harness on.
I'm strapped in. I'm going to assume my co-pilot's strapped in, and as usual, by the way, for those of you that have been longtime viewers of my channel, this character we're about to introduce you to should be not new to you at all. But in case you don't know this guy, we do have a Czech captain on board, especially since we've had a lot of failures and issues on streams recently. So we do have a Czech captain on board to keep a close eye on everything we're doing. So I wanted to introduce you to our Czech captain, who's going to be sitting in the jump seat and back here. I want to introduce you to this guy. This is our Czech captain. His name is Captain Obvious. He apparently also has a side gig working as a spokesman for Hotels.com. Hotels.com, it's on the internet. Okay, so that's our Czech captain today. Say hi to Captain Obvious, our Czech captain. Okay, so shoulder harnesses are on. I'm strapped in. Co-pilot's strapped in. I think our Czech captain is strapped in. We're all good to go.
Complete.
So after start checklist is complete.
Before takeoff checklist.
We'll do the before takeoff checklist later. So we're all good to go here. I'm going to catch up on chat as we get going. Rice cooker, hard to fly is a relative. It's not subjective, right? It's a very subjective, I guess, answer. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say. It's a very subjective answer. I'm not sure really, how to answer that question. If you have enough time and type right, and you're type rated and you're current in the airplane, any airplane is probably not necessarily easy to fly, but it's certainly not hard to fly. You know what you're doing, you know where all the switches are, you know how to deal with any issues should they crop up. So I don't know if hard to fly is the best way to describe it. It takes getting used to, just like every other airplane. It depends on what you're doing with it. If you're doing something you're familiar with, it's not hard, right? If you're doing something you're unfamiliar with, even an airplane like the FS Labs A320, it can be super hard. Like if I do raw data flying in the A320 from FS Labs, that gives me a really hard time because that's not something I really know intuitively how to do. Anyway, we're all set here. Let's go ahead and start pushing back, or powering back rather. So I'm just going to check the area behind me, make sure that's clear. Indeed it is. So the lane behind me is clear. And in order to power back, by the way, the procedure is I'm going to flash the ground crew with the nose light, put it in the dim position, then turn it off. That gives them the indication that we're ready to do a power back. Then I'm going to release the parking brake.
Parking brake released.
Parking brake released. And actually, what I learned recently looking up the manual, the flight manual for this airplane, is in order to power back, we're actually going to pull forward just a foot or two. So we're going to pull forward slightly, and then I'm going to brake, and I'm going to get my reversers in. In real life, you know, you only want to get at most 1.3 Ifr for your reverse thrust. But with the ground friction characteristics of P3D, you need a lot more, unfortunately, in P3D. So I'm going to get just enough to help me start moving back at about a walking pace. That's a good speed right there. And yeah, we're going to just power back at about this speed. And I'm going to modulate the thrust there in order to keep me moving back at a comfortable pace there. So not too fast, not too slow. This is a little too fast, but it's super hard to control given the kind of janky ground friction physics in P3D. Okay, Austin Valentine, how's it going? And Antonio Manson from Bali, how's it going? Hope you're both doing well. Portland asks, I stalled out there. Again, the ground friction physics are a bit janky, but Portland asks if Otto the Autopilot is going to be helping us. Otto the Autopilot is with us in spirit. So I just want you to picture Mr. Inflatable Copilot right there. He's doing well, and no, he does not need my help to be inflated, so that's not going to happen on this flight. Okay, so Otto the Autopilot is sitting right there. We're pretty much powered back here, and one thing I learned is to never apply the brakes during the power back. In order to get out of the reverse motion, I'm going to get the reversers out of reverse, and I'm going to apply a little forward thrust to get moving. Once again, we'll flash the ground crew to let them know we're ready to taxi, and yeah, we're going to taxi out. So nose lights on, and the wing lights can be extended, and we're ready to taxi here. Let me pull up my airport chart once again. So once again, we're going to taxi via Tango Sierra to hold short of 24 at Foxtrot. Let's start taxiing out here. Rick, how's it going? Hope you're all doing awesome. Thank you all for hanging out today. Hope you're all doing great. Out of curiosity, has anybody checked VATSIM? I'm wondering what the picture is on VATSIM in terms of ATC. It's probably too late for us to hop on now, but I'm just kind of curious if anything is going on. Another thing I could do is also look for a live ATC feed from around these parts. I'm not sure there's one available, but we could have a little bit of, you know, ATC audio to liven things up a bit as well. From live ATC, if I can find a feed. It is Tango Sierra. Holy cow! I got to tell you, the taxiway markings are super clear, right? This is obviously Tango Sierra, as per the marking we just saw. But when we looked at the airport chart, holy cow, was that confusing. You know, I couldn't tell where the taxiways actually, or what the taxiways were actually, you know, what the numbering was, what the naming was. I just could not tell from the taxi chart. It was super confusing. Portland says no ATC on VATSIM at the moment. Okay, no worries. Pietro Dana, how's it going? Pietro says, Napoli, your city. How about that, Pietro? Well, I want to thank you on behalf of Americans everywhere for your city's invention of America's first most favorite food, right? I was about to say hamburgers were our favorite food, but that's not true. I think officially pizza is the favorite food of Americans. So I want to thank you for thank your people for inventing pizza. Even if we've completely butchered it beyond recognition for most Neapolitans there. As I was mentioning earlier in the stream, I discovered to my shock and horror that apparently in Italy, or in Naples in particular, if you order pizza, they give it to you on a fancy plate and expect you to go at it with a knife and a fork, and that if you touch it with your hands, you're going to get kicked out of the restaurant. I might have made that last part up, but the point is, you know, you guys treat pizza with respect, whereas we go at it like cavemen here in the States. Anyway, taxiing down Tango Sierra here. This is a pretty nice scenery, by the way. This is, I believe, from Aerosoft. This is the Napoli X scenery. And I've also got Orbx Open Land Class for EU, right? For Europe. And that's the photoreal textures that you're seeing for Mount Vesuvius back there. So that's from Orbx Open LC, and the airport scenery is Aerosoft's Napoli X. So there you go. Portland says you hold the view that pizza can be enjoyed in any form in any manner. I agree with that, Portland. I think us Americans have a much more egalitarian view of the process of consuming pizza. And also, you know, when pizza is good, right? Although I gotta tell you, the whole knife and fork thing that they practice in Napoli, it kind of gives you the idea, at least for those of us that are deep dish pizza fans, that maybe Chicagoans had it right all along, right? With deep dish pizza, because there's some places in Chicago where if you order deep dish, you're expected to use a knife and fork. And that's a lot more closer to the Neapolitan style of consuming pizza. All right, continuing down here. Let's go ahead and do our before takeoff checklist as we taxi down. Okay, before takeoff checklist.
Standby horizon and flight instruments.
Standby horizon is caged rather, and flight instruments are all good. No gyro flags, nothing. Stab trim tabs, I want to make sure that aileron and rudder are zeroed, and I want to make sure that I'm trimming 2.7 units up there on the stabilizer. So that's set.
Stabilizer, trim tab. That's extended. Zero, flaps 5.
Setting flaps 5 there. Flaps 5 set.
Flaps, slats, blue light.
Okay, flaps 5 set for takeoff.
Takeoff data and EPR.
Takeoff data. Ifr bug set to 1.9 or 6, both engines. V speeds are 1 second. 130, rotate at 134, V2 141. We're going to climb out initially at about V2 plus 15, which is 156. So somewhere between 156 and 160 is going to be our initial climb speed there. 1 second. Let me make sure that I've got the correct bugs sent off to the sent off to the airspeed indicator there. There we go. Takeoff warning test once again. I've got my flap set in the takeoff configuration. I've got my trim set properly. So once again, I'm going to stand the throttles up to just past 50%. And if you notice, we don't have a takeoff warning horn going off. So that implies that that system is working as intended.
Takeoff warning, check.
Takeoff warning checked. Air conditioning auto shut off into the arm position. I think this is a relic of the fact that Coolsky also made a version of the Super 80, the MD-80, in addition to the DC-9. That has an arm position and an override position for the air conditioning shut off. In this case, I think it just goes to off. So I'm going to leave it at off. Once we get airborne, we're going to move it into the override position. So that's set.
Air conditioning auto shut off. Arm.
And then I'm going to arm the anti-skid. And I'm going to watch this. If I turn off the anti-skid, we get 4 lights on the annunciator panel there for the left outboard, right outboard, left inboard, right inboard anti-skid devices. I'm going to arm it, and those annunciation lights should go off.
Anti-skid, arm.
That's good. APU off.
On or off.
Okay, and then we'll check our flight controls once we're holding short here. Give me a second. Pietro says you live 300 meters from the position that I'm at in the sim. How about that? Holy cow. All right, well, so we're gonna wave at your house if you fly over. How about that? Night Shadow is agreeing with Pietro. Rick, I'm from the west coast of the U.S. That's where I'm from. Night Shadow says formal eating. Yeah, there you go. Goldwyn says, no way in hell are you going to use a knife and fork to eat your $20 Domino's pizza. Well, you know, Domino's pizza is Domino's pizza, right? There's no culture in Domino's Pizza. No offense to the hardcore Domino's Pizza fans out there, you know, but we're talking about like some serious traditional Neapolitan pizza, you know, pizza margherita, or you know, pizza, whatever their other variants of pizza are in Napoli. You know, that stuff has a lot of history and culture behind it, and I'm sure folks from Naples expect there to be a certain style in how you go about consuming that pizza. Anyway, Jamal Soto, how's it going? Okay, let's go ahead and do our flight controls check here. So I'm going to go full left and full right on the aileron first. And what I want you to do, I've got my autopilot servos engaged. What that does when I have that engaged is it automatically, why does it say out of trim there? Oh, that'll fix itself once I'm doing my elevator check here. But what I want you to watch for is the yaw damper is automatically going to start working once I do my lateral, you know, my aileron check here. So I'm going to go full left. You notice how the rudder moves full right there, the autopilot servo. I'm going to go full right, and once again you're going to notice the autopilot servo for the rudder moving full left. That's the yaw damper system kicking in. So that's great. Okay. And then what we're going to do is also look up top here. I want to make sure that I get a spoiler on light coming on. There might be a bit of an issue here with my lights. But anyway, there's the spoiler coming up on the left side when I go full left aileron. And there's a spoiler coming up on the right side when I go full right aileron. So that's good. Then I'm going to go elevator full back, elevator full forward. Should get an elevator power on thing up there too, but for some reason that's not showing. But back to neutral, and then we'll go rudder full left, rudder full right, neutral. Flight controls check is completed. Okay,
Flight
annunciator
controls,
panel.
Checked.
Checked.
Annunciator panel checked. Takeoff briefing complete.
Okay. And we've got minimum fuel. I needed at least 13,000 pounds. My God, we've burnt about 1,000 pounds here just talking on the ground.
Minimum fuel quantity.
My fault.
Required on board.
Okay, takeoff announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, we're ready to take off here. Please be seated. And please have your seatbelts fastened securely. We're taking off. If you're transporting any pizza, make sure to put the knife and fork away now, please. Okay. Takeoff announcement complete.
Takeoff announcement complete.
Radar transponder. Let's go ahead and turn the radar on, and let's get the transponder on as well. Squawking mode, Charlie there.
Radar transponder. Normal on.
Ignition set to both.
Ignition. Both.
All right. And before takeoff checklist complete.
Before takeoff checklist complete.
Okay, before takeoff checklist complete, we'll do our after takeoff checklist. You guessed it, after takeoff. Okay, wing lights coming on, landing lights coming on, nose lights coming on, anti-collision lights are on, position strobe lights are set to both. We're ready to go here. Let's taxi on and we'll take off. Let's do a quick final check here. Make sure there's nobody on short final. Final's clear, and departure's clear as well. There we go, we're all good. Let me catch up on chat here real quick. Anthony Games, how's it going? Vesuvio, exactly, Pietro. Portland Aviation says the best pizza you have had is at chains mostly. Oh, local chains. Yeah, I totally agree. Or you mean like local restaurants, right? Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, the large kind of national chains are just not the best. You know, your typical like local mom and pop store, you know, that sells pizza kind of based on a family recipe that's been around in their family for generations. Those are the best kind of places to go to get kind of good local food. All right, anyway. Holding short, or not holding short, but we're in position here on 2-4. We're ready to go. All right, let's get going. Night Shadow says just received your Honeycomb Bravo throttle. Awesome, Night Shadow. You got to let us know how that's going. CTAC Spotting, hello. Hope you're doing well. Anthony, I agree with that. We could have a very long discussion around that. And Will earlier was saying the cockpit layout seems quite mad dog, and oh yeah, totally, like Portland was saying, right? Will, it is, the DC-9 was stretched and I think had an engine upgrade, and that's what got turned into the MD-80. So the MD-80 essentially is a much more modern, at least modern for the 1980s version of the DC-9. In fact, if you look at the overhead for the DC-9 and the MD-80, it's pretty much almost exactly the same. There's a few differences here and there, but it's almost exactly the same, the overhead panels. So even the 717, by the way, has a lot in common in terms of the overhead with the DC-9, which is quite something. Okay, let's get rolling here. So in order to roll, what we're going to do is we're going to bring the throttles up to 1.4 Ifr. We're going to let the power stabilize at 1.4 Ifr. There we go. And then as we roll, what we're going to do is advance the throttles to takeoff power, 1.96 Ifr approximately. Okay, takeoff power set. Airspeed alive there.
$80 knots.
There's 80 knots.
V1, rotate.
Rotate.
V2. V2 plus 10.
There we go. Going to climb out at about 160 knots there.
Positive rate of climb, gear up.
Gear up. And let's go ahead and turn left now to heading of 180. Almost immediately after takeoff, we're going to turn left to heading of 180 once we're past the departure end of the runway, which we are. So we're climbing out over the city of Naples there. There's downtown Naples over there. We're going to turn left to a heading of about 180 there. As per the departure chart. So there's 180, going to fly that heading until we can pick up the 342 radial inbound to the Sorrento VOR, as per the departure chart once again. Okay, so let's set climb power now of about 1.92, 1.90 Ifr, and let's lower the nose here. I'm going to reduce my rate of climb to about 1,000, so essentially half the rate of climb that I had before my setting of climb thrust. So there's 180 knots.
Flaps retracted.
Flaps retracted, and let's go ahead and retract the slats as well.
Slats retracted.
There we go. And we'll climb out, actually, continue climbing out here to our cruising flight level of 290. Might as well. We'll just continue up to flight level 290. We're going to climb up, we're going to accelerate here to 250 knots. Watching for that radial to come in there, or that needle to come in. Okay, my altitude selector or alert there is set to 290. There we go. I'm gonna lower my nose a little bit here to accelerate to 250 knots. A lot going on in this airplane, as you can imagine. I'm gonna turn right back there a little bit back to a heading of 180, and we'll climb out. All right. Unfortunately, by the time I was able to relax enough to look outside the airplane, we were already in the clouds, so we are not going to be able to get any more great views of Naples or Mount Vesuvius here on the climb out. Sorry about that. Let's get our autopilot on here just to help us out. So autopilot servos engaged. Let's increase our rate of climb there a bit so we can increase speed or decrease speed at 250 in the climb, and then we'll go into IAS whole mode there as we climb out. Heading select engage there, and about 250 knots there. Let's go into IAS whole mode. We'll climb out in IAS whole mode, and there's the needle coming in there for the 342 radial from Sorrento. So let's go into nav loc mode at this point, and we'll fly that radial inbound to the Sorrento VOR. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead now and pull up our climb or after takeoff checklist. So gear, flaps, and slats are, I don't know why they call it slaps there, but gear, flaps, and slats are up and lights are out.
Gear, flaps, slats. Up, lights out.
Ignition is off.
Ignition on or off. Fuel pumps.
Fuel pumps are all
4
set
or 6
properly.
on.
Air conditioning shut off to override.
Air conditioning auto shut off. Pressure. Override. Checked.
Annunciation panel is clear. We're through 10,000 there. Let's get the landing lights off. Should have gotten the nose lights off right after takeoff. Annunciation panel is checked.
Annunciator panel. Checked.
1 second. We'll continue through the checklist here in just a little bit. First thing I'm going to do, though, is lower my nose a little bit here. We'll lower our nose a little bit and pick up speed to our climb speed of 290 knots, about 10,000. And we'll climb out at 290 knots until we hit Mach 0.72, and then we'll climb out at Mach 0.72 until we reach flight level 290. I'm going to go back into heading select mode at this point, and we're coming up on the VOR. At the VOR, like I mentioned, on the POLIT 1 Alpha, I want to fly the 137 radial outbound, so I'm going to tune in the 137 radial right now. A lot happening in this airplane, especially when I'm flying in single pilot, right? Far too much happening there. Okay, now let's go back into nav loc mode, and we'll fly the 137 radial outbound there. There we go. And we're accelerating to 290 knots. Coming up on 290 there. Almost there. Just a little bit. Just a couple of knots to go there. Let's go into IAS whole mode, and there we go, that's done. Okay, let's go back to the after takeoff checklist. Next item on the after takeoff checklist is the hydraulics pump. Or hydraulic pumps rather. What I want to do is move these into the off, low, and off positions. So alternate hydraulic pump off, engine hydraulics pumps into the low position, and auxiliary hydraulic pump into the off position. And the hydraulic pressure should drop into the low green band around 1500 psi. So I'm just going to watch for that to drop down to 1500 psi and stabilize. And right now we should be intercepting the 137 radial outbound going to POLIT. And we're going to fly that radial all the way down the Mike 620 airway to SOMAS here in a bit. Okay, there's the needle coming in. We should be tracking back in that direction. We're so close to the VOR right now that there might be a bit of heat sinking as the autopilot deals with the sensitivity of the VOR. So it might just go into heading select mode. If this keeps sort of like going back and forth like that, we might just hop into heading select mode actually. Let's do that real quick. So I'm going to go to heading select mode, fly a heading of about 145 for now. Okay, there we go. And let's go back to the checklist. Hydraulic system checked.
Hydraulic system check. After takeoff checklist complete.
After takeoff checklist is complete. All right, we're done there. Let's go ahead and get the seat belts off. Let's get the no smoking signs off. Again, the DC-9 was used way back in the in like the 50s and 60s, right? Where in the 50s and 60s where people used to smoke like chimneys on airplanes. By the way, our transition altitude, I totally forgot this. It's not like in the US where the transition altitude is 18,000 feet. Here, the transition altitude is actually 8,000 feet as per the departure chart. So I totally forgot to reset altimeters 29092 earlier. So let's go ahead and do that right now. 29092, altimeters reset. And let's go back into nav loc mode in the autopilot now. There we go. Altimeters reset 29092. Pressurization system is doing what it's supposed to. That's looking good. All right, we're doing great here. Climbing out. All right. Let me check my thrust setting here. Make sure that I'm not exceeding any limits where I'll get there. That is fantastic. Okay, we're climbing out at about 290 knots here. I'm looking for a Mach number of Mach 0.72, at which point I'll climb out at Mach 0.72, and we're going to head down the airway here, past POLIT, all the way down to SOMAS, before we turn left on the Mike 601 airway towards the what was that VOR that we had next after this? the something VOR, the Crotoni VOR. That's the one. But we got a ways to go before we get there. All right, let's go into some cinematic shots here as we climb out, and I'll catch up on chat. Portland says, speaking of the 717, you hope that TFDI will make their 717. Yeah, I think they are, if I remember correctly, they are working on something for MSFS, right? I'm not sure if it's a 717 or something else there, Portland. Night Shadow says, Jamal Soto setting it up in P3D. Oh, that's for the Honeycomb Bravo, right? How are you liking the Honeycomb Bravo so far there, Night Shadow? That sounds like a super awesome aircraft to have. That sounds like a ton of fun to be flying around for sure. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tune in the Crotoni VOR 117.1 in nav2, so I have that for reference. So 117.2 in nav2, and I'm going to set the 09er6 radial in nav2. So let me go ahead and set that real quick. 09er6. That way I have that for reference. Awesome. So we're climbing through 23,000 feet. Our cruising altitude is going to be flight level 290. We're currently at 290 knots, coming up on Mach 0.68. Once we reach Mach 0.72, we'll climb out in Mach whole mode in the autopilot. So I have this little pop-up here for the autopilot, because that's super helpful to me for some situational awareness as I'm climbing out and as I'm flying the airplane, obviously. In the rail airplane, though, the actual, this is Sperry SB50 autopilot, the actual autopilot is down here, right? So in the rail airplane, if you were actually flying this, it's not that hard to, you know, fiddle with the knobs on the autopilot using your right hand if you're flying from the left seat, while manipulating the controls and watching the instruments, from where you're sitting. But in the virtual airplane, that's super hard to do. So that's the reason I love this little pop-up here that I can use to control the autopilot. Okay, we're coming up on Mach 0.72 there. Going to keep a close eye on that. At Mach 0.72, we're going to swap the pitch selector mode to the Mach whole mode, and we're going to climb out in Mach whole mode until we hit flight level 290. All right, doing great here. Beautiful sight down there of the coast of Italy through some breaks in the cloud cover. Hopefully Corfu should be a lot better. I forgot to check the weather at Corfu. Okay, I think we're coming up on Mach 0.72, almost there. And we're going to level off at flight level 290. Night Shadow says, for those who care, Green Bay 10, Tampa Bay 21. Holy cow, like, how is Tom Brady so lucky, man? I just don't get it. Or maybe he's just good, right? Maybe it's not just luck. Maybe he's just that good. Okay, we're now in Mach whole mode. We're going to climb out of Mach 0.72 until we get to flight level 290. All right. Got about 3,000 to go there. And we're going down the Mike 620 airway towards the SOMAS intersection. All right. Night Shadow says, not as great as your Thrustmaster Cougar, but nice. Aha, interesting. Why do you feel that way, Night Shadow? I'm kind of curious. I'm not too familiar, I have to admit, with the Thrustmaster Cougar, but I'm kind of surprised that you don't think it's the best, because everybody seems to be treating the Honeycomb Bravo like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? People seem to be really, really into it. So I'm surprised that you feel like it's not really the best thing ever, which I would tend to agree with. I feel like maybe there's been a bit of hype associated with that particular honeycomb unit. Anyway, 1,000 to go here at flight level 280. Going to level off at flight level 290. So at a certain point here, as we come up on flight level 285, I'm going to transition back into vertical speed mode, and we're going to start leveling off at flight level 290. And this is a super short flight, you know, it should only take us about 45 minutes in total, wheels up to wheels down. Okay, let's go into vertical speed mode now, and I'm gonna roll my vertical speed selector down, and we'll start leveling off here at flight level 290. Almost there. Okay, altitude hold mode. We're gonna level off there at flight level 290. There we go. Gonna increase speed here. Gonna pick up speed until we hit Mach 0.75, and we're gonna cruise at Mach 0.75. That's our game plan. Just gonna back off the throttle a little bit there, and we'll accelerate at 2.0 Ifr approximately, and then I'll back off the throttles to 1.8 Ifr approximately for my cruise power setting. Okay, there we go, coming up on Mach 0.75. Let's back off the throttle a bit there to about 1.8 Ifr, and I'm going to hold about 1.8 Ifr, maybe about 1.78 Ifr, slightly less maybe, as my cruise Ifr setting there. There we go, that's looking good. We're doing great. Okay, let me pull up my iPad on screen. I can show you where we're at right now. And we'll hop into some cinematic shots here. Okay, just gonna pull up the iPad on screen real quick. And you can see what's going on. Okay, so let me go back to the world map background there. So we're going from Naples, Italy, along 3 different airways here to Corfu, Greece, right? Currently, we're on the Mike 620 airway. Let me go to the high-end route chart here. On the Mike 620 airway between Sorrento, POLIT, and the SOMAS intersection. The SOMAS intersection is defined by the 317 radial outbound the 137 radial outbound from the Sorrento VOR, and the 096 radial inbound to the Crotone VOR. So that's why I have that radial and that navigate frequency in nav2, so I know when I'm coming up on SOMAS. So we're coming up on SOMAS here in a hurry. After Crotone, we're going to go on the 075 radial outbound from Crotone towards the LATAN fix, and at some point, right, probably at about Gemwe or so, I'm going to swap frequencies to the Kirkira VOR 114.7, and we're going to track inbound on the 075 radial to Kirkira. And 101 miles out from Kirkira is when I'm going to start my descent. So that's our game plan today. We probably should brief our arrival routing, right? So the arrival routing is relatively straightforward. From LATAN on the 076 radial, we're going to proceed to 39 DME from the VOR, then on to BEDX, which is at 16 DME, and we're going to continue descending down to like our MSA, right, which is 4,500 in the chart that we're looking at. And you know what? Just for kicks, we might actually fly the locator alpha arrival. Depends on what the weather is doing. Let's check out the weather minimums right now, or the actual weather conditions at Corfu, LGKR. Few clouds reported 1,800. Oh boys, that's cutting it super close. That's cutting it super close to the minimums here, so we might just do the VOR uniform or something instead. Although those minimums are even higher. Those minimums are like 2,000 feet. Let's look at the different VOR approaches here. Yeah, the NDB arrival might actually be the best option. Believe it or not, the NDB might actually be the best option. We could do... Let's look at the other VOR approaches in here. Let's see if any of them has a lower minimum. No, it's all at 2,000 feet. We have few clouds reported at 1,800. That's why I'm concerned. So you know what? We might actually have to do the locator alpha. So we might do an NDB approach today. So that's probably what we're going to end up having to do. The weather is kind of crazy at Kirkira. It's actually... we might have to do a circular land to 1.8, but winds are gusting out of the south, 180 at 17 gusting to 29, 7-kilometer visibility in light rain, few clouds reported at 1,800, ceilings broken at 2,500, overcast at 8,000, temperature 13 dew point 12, QNH is 1002. So it's kind of nuts, actually, at Corfu Airport. It really is kind of nuts. Okay, we're coming up super quick here on the Mike 601 airway. In fact, if you look at the, we don't have a, do we have a signal yet? I think we do. So we're coming up on that radial that we want to track inbound to the Crotone VOR. So what I'm going to do right now is go into heading select mode, I think. Actually, let's just go to the turn knob for now. And let's go ahead and we'll tune in the 09 or 6 radial inbound to the Crotone VOR. So Crotone VOR is 117.1 actually. Had the wrong thing tuned in there. Let's put in the right thing here, 117.1. There we go. And let's tune in the 09 or 6 radial. There we go. And let's go ahead and go into heading select mode here. Actually, you know what? Let's just go to the nav loc. And we'll track inbound on the 09 or 6 radial towards the Crotone VOR. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tune in the Kirkira VOR 114.7 in nav 2. 14.7. There we go, 114.7, and then I'm going to set the 075 radial inbound. So let's go ahead and put that radial inbound, 075. There we go. Okay, we're doing great here. Running into a little bit of weather, it looks like. so this is a little crazy. You know, if I'd actually done my weather planning properly before the flight, obviously, we would have skirted around, you know, whatever storm cells might have been along our route today. But I don't have that, and I'm not sure the weather radar really works that well. I don't think it works that well at all, because I can't see anything here. Will says you've done some stuff in the Aerosoft A320 shared cockpit. Interesting, okay. Yeah, totally agree with that, Will. If you got to go with the A320 for P3D, you know, I strongly recommend saving up for the FS Labs. It's better than a whole bunch of other add-ons combined, you know. The Aerosoft is really, really underwhelming for sure. You know, I used to own that long before I got the FS Labs, and boy, I got to tell you, the FS Labs was such a major step up. Anyway, we're continuing here. Let's go ahead and brief the locator alpha, right? So this is the NDB alpha approach. The frequency for the NDB is 403, so I'm going to tune that in here. In order to do that, I'm going to go there. I'm going to tune 403. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And I'm going to get my RMI there for ADF. There we go. Hopefully that should work. All right, there we go. All right. And the final approach course is going to be 315. Let's brief this this plate here. So we're going to go to the Kirkira VOR, right? Basically, I'm going to level off at like the MSA, which is 4,500 feet. We're going to proceed to the Kirkira VOR, correction, to the Kirkira NDB direct, okay? And then we're going to fly the 118 bearing outbound from the Kirkira NDB. So this is going to be super challenging because it's got to fly a bearing, and we're going to have a pretty serious winds aloft situation given the high winds, right, that we have. So the winds aloft at about 6,000 feet. It's out of the southwest, 203 at 41. So I'm going to have a pretty stiff crosswind there from the right as I'm flying the 118 bearing outbound from the NDB. So I'm going to be crabbed into the wind to the right in order to take into account that right crosswind at 4,500 feet. But once I'm past the NDB on the 118 bearing, I'm going to descend down to 2,900 feet, okay, 2,900 feet, until I pass this fix here. This fix is on that bearing, the 118 bearing from the NDB, on the 014 radial from the Corfu VOR. Okay, at that point, at a maximum speed of 185 knots, I'm going to turn inbound on the 315 bearing to the NDB, and once I'm past 3 DME from the Corfu VOR, so I'm going to have Corfu VOR tuned into nav2 so I know what my DME readout is. Once I'm past 3 DME, then I can descend down to my MDA of 1,700 feet. I'm going to set 1,700 feet here as my MDA. I think I can only set this in 100-foot increments, so I'm going to set 700 there. So let me do that real quick. This is going to be super challenging. And I'm sorry, folks, I probably missed a ton in chat here. In fact, I know I missed a ton in chat here. I do apologize, just too much going on in such a short flight, as you can imagine. But we're going to descend down to our MDA of 1,700 feet. Visibility minimum is 2,400 meters. We've got 7 kilometers visibility reported, so we're all good there. Yeah, so we're going to descend down to the MDA. Missed approach point is 0.2 miles from the threshold, right? So that's our missed approach point. We're probably going to have the airport in sight once we're at our MDA, hopefully, if we break out of the clouds. And yeah, we're just going to, once we got the airport in sight, we're going to descend, and we're actually going to do a circle to land to 18, right? Because this takes us in the direction of runway 34. What I want to do is land on runway 16, because the winds are out of the south, 180 at 17, gusting to 29 knots. So what I want to do is fly a right downwind there. Correct. Actually, let's go back to the locator approach plate there. I want to fly a right downwind because we got terrain on the west side of the field. So I want to fly a, oh, not right downwind, sorry. I want to fly a left downwind, right? I want to fly a left downwind to runway, runway 16, and we'll fly a standard traffic pattern there, you know, at about 1,500 feet. Actually, we might even go lower depending on what the cloud height is. We might even go lower, and yeah, then we'll do a crosswind landing into runway 16 at Corfu. So that's going to be our plan. We're 7 miles here from the VOR. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the turn knob mode on the autopilot, and I'm going to tune in the, what was that radial outbound? I want to tune in the 075 radial outbound. So let's go ahead and tune in that course right now. 075. And let's go to my heading bug here. I'm going to go to that heading approximately. There we go, and let's go into heading select mode, and then when the needle comes in, we'll fly that radial outbound from the Crotone VOR. So this is about the point where we say goodbye to Italian airspace in just a few short miles, and we're saying goodbye to Italy here as we head out over the Adriatic Sea towards Greece. All right. Hey, no worries at all there. Well, thanks for hanging out thus far. We'll catch you next time. Night Shadow, I have not, unfortunately. The last thing I heard was that the release schedule for, what was it called? The release schedule for the NGX, you know, has been pushed out by almost a year. So my guess is we're not going to see the NGX until maybe holiday season of this year. It's going to be a while before we see the NGX, in my opinion. Okay, there's the needle coming in there as we track outbound on the 075 radial. There we go. Let's go back into nav loc mode, and we'll track that radial outbound there. Hold on. For some reason, super close to VOR there, the autopilot does a pretty bad job of tracking. So I'm going to go back into heading select mode. For some reason, I got to be like super far out in order for the autopilot to actually start tracking that properly. Now let's go into nav loc mode. Hopefully this works. All right. Anyway, I've got my MDA set. Going to be 1,700 feet. And what else did I want to do? Oh yeah, I wanted to do my my landing calculations here. So our current weight is, for a landing weight, is probably going to be around 91,000 pounds. So let's go ahead and set, let's plan on a flaps 40-degree landing. Flaps 25 is typically only used if you have an engine out. So I'm going to transfer these V speeds, these approach speeds for a flaps 40 landing to the airspeed indicator there. So our approach speed for a flaps 40 landing is 133. I want to add the half the winds plus the full gust factor. The full gust factor is actually 12 knots. With the crosswind component, headwind component, I'm going to assume that's about 11. So I'm going to assume that's 11 plus 11 for the gust factor and plus 9 for the winds. So that's plus 20. And actually our maximum wind additive for VREF is going to be plus 20 anyway. So 133 plus 133 plus 20, that brings me up to 150, 153, somewhere in that range. So we got that. That's our approach speed. So that's transferred over. Let's go ahead and hide that away. Actually, hold on one second. We're probably going to be closer to 91,000. Yeah, so it's going to be closer to 150 anyway. So we're all good there. Okay, so we're 26 miles out. We're tracking outbound on the Crotone VOR on the 075 radial. And now we're coming up on the Kirkira VOR, right? So our DME readout there shows us 113 miles away from Kirkira, and 101 miles out is when I want to start my descent down to 4,500 feet. So let's go ahead and set our altitude selector here down to 4,500. So this is going to be set down to 4,500 here. Just going to keep rolling that down. There we go, 4,500. And let's go ahead and hide the iPad away. We've done our, we've briefed our approach plate. We haven't talked about the landing distance, but we got 7,785 feet. That's plenty long for our airplane, so we're all good there. Okay, so we got everything. Gonna hide the iPad away. And yeah, we're all good there. Okay, let's take a look at our DME readout from Kirkira. There's 105. In about 3 more miles, we're going to go ahead and start our descent. Rick, how's it going? Rick says you'd love to get another good prop besides the Q400. I got to tell you, I got plenty of enjoyment out of the Q400 for sure. That's an amazing add-on. I'd love to see a majestic Q400 level. What do you call it? ATR. I'd love to see an ATR on that level. But definitely not, your what do you call it? Your Coronado level ATR. That's not a good one at all. That's not a good representation of the ATR from what I've seen. Okay, we're at our top of descent. Let's go ahead and start our descent here. So we're gonna go into IAS hold here, and we'll descend at about 300 knots. Actually, you know what? Let's go to vertical speed, and we'll descend at about 2,500 feet per minute or so, down to 5,000 feet. Okay, let's get the seatbelt sign on here. Let's get the no smoking signs on. I think it's time for our 60s era, 70s era passengers to stop giving themselves cancer and and stop smoking like chimneys in the back there. And we'll descend at, what's our descent schedule? Mach 0.8, then 320 knots, then 250 knots. So we can descend pretty quick here. So we'll descend down at about close to 2,500 feet per minute, and I'm going to increase my speed there to about 320 knots in the descent. All right, let's go ahead and pull up our preliminary landing checklist here. Having a hard time pronouncing that for some reason.
Preliminary landing checklist.
Okay, seatbelts sign on. Cabin pressure panel. I'm going to set this for the landing. Airport elevation is about, you know, it's about 0 feet basically. Just going to leave it at 0. And the pressure reported at the airport was QNH of 1002, so altimeter 29er. So I'm going to set 29er here. Let's make sure that doesn't move. Oops, no, that changes this as well. So I'm going to reset the landing barrow there once we're below transition. Transition altitude, or transition level rather, is set by ATC. I'm going to assume it's around 6,000 feet. So once we get to 6,000 feet, we'll reset the altimeter to a QNH of 1002. So that's all looking good. Okay, seatbelt on.
Seatbelt sign. On cabin pressure panel. Check.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the hydraulics pumps to the on, high, and on position. So alternate hydraulic pump on, engine hydraulic pumps to the high position, and aux hydraulic pump into the on position. I'm going to watch the hydraulic pressure rising into the high green arc there, which is around 3,000 psi. That's good.
Hydraulic system on, high, on, check.
All right, that's good. Altimeters, we'll reset that later.
Altimeters set.
Okay, and landing data and Ifr, go around Ifr is 1.96. We got our approach speeds, we've got our wind additives calculated. That's all looking good.
Landing data and EPR.
And we're going to do a flaps 40 landing.
Shoulder harness on.
All right, I'm strapped in. Co-pilot's strapped in. Let's check in with our check captain real quick. Let's check in with our check captain. Let's see how he's doing. Let's see how our check captain is doing. Yeah, he's got his trusty old bucket of popcorn. He always finds a spot on the airplane to stash away that bucket of popcorn. And yeah, he seems like he's ready to monitor, if you will, the landing we're going to have.
Approach briefing.
Okay, approach briefing completed.
Preliminary landing checklist complete.
And preliminary landing checklist complete. All right, that's done. Okay, descending through flight level 210 there. Continuing down to 5,000 feet. Correction, 4,500 feet. And we're 68 miles out from the Kirkira VOR. At this point, tell you what, I'm going to swap my frequencies here from the VOR we're on right now to the Kirkira VOR. So let's go into the turn knob there, and I'm going to tune in the Kirkira VOR. So 114.7 is going to get tuned in here. There we go. And let's find a course that takes us 076 should be good enough. Let's fly a heading that brings us in on that course. So I'm going to go to that heading, and we'll fly that heading until we pick up that radial, and we'll fly that radial inbound to the Kirkira VOR. All right, we're doing good here. Transition altitude, I think, or transition level rather, I think we established as 6,000 feet. So that's going to be what we're going to assume our transition altitude is. Let's see if I can find a live ATC feed for this part of the world here. Maybe Athens? Let's find out. I'm going to go to the coverage map here on the live ATC website. Let's see if you can find a live ATC feed for somewhere in this part of the world. There's Athens. So maybe we can have Athens playing in the background. Let's see if you can pick anything up, so we have something to listen to in the background. Let me catch up on chat here. Night Shadow, welcome back. And I'm sorry, folks, I really do apologize. I've been terrible about catching up on chat. Just so much to do with this airplane, and so much to monitor with this airplane. Night Shadow, absolutely. The Jetstream 41 would be amazing. I really miss the PMDG Jetstream 41 that we had for FSX, right? I wish they had brought that to P3D version 4 or 5, but that is an add-on that I think is sorely missed that I'd love to see as well. That would be a great turboprop add-on as well, for sure. You know, and on the piston radial side, you know, I'd love to have the PMDG DC-6 or the A2A Constellation available for MSFS as well. You know, those would be awesome add-ons to have. Okay, there's the needle starting to come in there. As I mentioned, we do have a slight crosswind there from the right. Right now, it's more of a tailwind, but that's why I want to turn towards the right a little bit there to compensate for that crosswind. Okay, we're descending at 320 knots until we hit 10,000. At 10,000, we're going to slow down to 250 knots, obviously. All right, we're doing great here. Oops. I'm going to shallow my rate of descent here just a smidgen. There we go. Whoops. Wrong pop-up there. There we go. Get rid of that pop-up. Let's see. What else did I miss in chat? Rick says, yeah, the A2A Economy is a lot of fun, for sure, yeah. Night Shadow says, how about a study-level biplane for Snoopy? Oh, I'd love to have a study-level biplane. That would be amazing. By the way, I think you guys know, I'm not the biggest fan of Carenado. In fact, I've had a lot of negative things to say about Carenado. But from what I've heard and seen, people seem to have pretty good reviews for the Carenado Waco. So they have a Waco YMF-5 biplane for MSFS, and that seems to be getting some pretty good reviews from folks on Twitch. So let's go into nav loc mode there as the needle centers so we can track inbound on the 076 radial to Kirkira there. And as we're come up on 10,000 feet here, I'm going to shallow my rate of descent so that we can slow down to 250 knots. Gear horn there. So we're going to shallow our rate of descent here a little bit, slowing down to 250 knots as we come up on 10,000 feet. All right. And I'm guessing these are the kind of conditions, right, you would get in this part of the world this time of year. Because this is not what I think of when I think Corfu. You know, I'm thinking sunny weather. I'm thinking, you know, picturesque beaches full of sand. Definitely not wet sand. I'm thinking more like sunburnt, you know, warm sand that you can warm your feet on in the sun. I'm definitely not picturing weather like this, right? When I think Corfu. So it just must be the time of year, I suppose. But that's unfortunate. Okay, there's 250 knots. Let's go ahead and increase our rate of descent now back down to about 2,000 feet per minute. And we'll descend at 250 knots until we hit 4,500 feet, which was our MSA around the Goritza VOR. Okay, let's continue descending there. Awesome. One thing I wanted to do was, for that locator alpha arrival, or approach rather, what I wanted to do was I wanted to set the 014 radial here. So 014 radial should be set here. Now, if I had a working co-pilot or FS2 crew or something, you know, I could have the co-pilot call it out when he saw that needle centering, you know, as we're flying outbound on the NDB for that locator alpha approach. Obviously, you don't have that ability, so how am I going to identify the 014 radial, right? I'm going to identify that, a little bit of a stutter there, I'm going to identify the 014 radial by looking at the RMI here. So I've got VOR2 showing. VOR2 is Kirkira. So I'm gonna, when I fly outbound on the 118 bearing from the NDB, I'm gonna watch for that needle to swing around to 014. Actually, it's gonna swing around to, what's it gonna swing around to? Yeah, actually 014, that's what it's gonna swing around to. So once it swings around to 014, that's when I'll know that I can start my turn inbound. So that's gonna be the plan. Okay, we're descending through 7,800 feet there, still in the clouds. We were through 10,000 earlier, should have gotten the landing lights on. And, you know, the nose lights are typically not turned on until final, but I'm going to forget because I'm flying this single pilot, so I'm just going to get it on right now. In fact, I'm not even sure it actually turns on until the landing gear comes down for all I know, if there's somebody stowed away in the wheel well there, the landing light, the nose light just came on full bright, and they're not too happy right now. If they didn't succumb to hypoxia in the freezing cold up at altitude. Night Shadow says great shopping as well. Beaches are great. You spent 5 days there a few years back. How about that? How about that there, Night Shadow? Night Shadow, I'm gonna drop the gear once I'm on approximately a 6-mile final. So as soon as I get the airport in sight, basically. Actually, wait a second. No, we're not going to fly straight in. We're going to fly a left-hand traffic pattern, so to runway 16 at Kirkira. So what I'm going to do is get the landing gear down on downwind for that approach. Okay, there's what we established our transition altitude. So let's reset altimeters to 29er, 59er. QNH is 1002. There we go, altimeters reset, and we're coming up on 4,500 feet there, so let's go ahead and shallow our rate of descent. And we're coming up on the VOR as well. As we come closer to the VOR, what I'm going to do is track direct to the NDB there, the Kirkira NDB. Because I've got the signal from the Kirkira NDB, I've got a bearing to it. The Kirkira NDB is on a frequency of 403. So I got that picked up. As soon as I'm leveled off here at 4,500 feet, I'm going to go ahead and turn left to fly direct to that NDB. Okay, coming up on 4,500 there. There we go, 4,500, altitude hold on. We're going to level off at 4,500. Let's go back into turn knob mode, and let's go to heading of about 020, and we'll fly direct to the NDB. Alright, there we go. So now we're going to fly that approach we discussed earlier. We do have a lot of terrain around here. I'm going to set my course here, my radial to 014, the radial we discussed earlier. There we go. That's set. And let me go ahead and pull up the approach plate on my iPad once again real quick, just so we can once again quickly review the game plan. Just going to mirror my iPad on screen. iPad is being mirrored. Let's go ahead and pull it up on screen here real quick. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're heading direct to the Kirkira NDB at this point. More or less direct. I'm going to correct myself, so I'm heading direct. So once I get to the Kirkira NDB, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to turn right to intercept the 118 bearing out of the Kirkira NDB. We're going to descend down to 2,900 feet. That's our next altitude. And we're going to track outbound on the 118 bearing until we see the 014 radial from the Kirkira VOR. At that point, I'm going to turn right. Maximum speed in the turn is 185 knots to fly the 315 bearing inbound to the NDB. Once I'm 3 miles from the Kirkira VOR, at that point, we're going to go ahead and descend down to our MDA of 1,700 feet. So that is our game plan. Let's go ahead and hide the iPad away. Let's hop back in the cockpit here real quick so that things aren't going too awry too quickly. Let me go ahead and hide the iPad away as well. Stop mirroring. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and turn left now to heading of a bit more there. And let's slow down a bit more here. I'm going to roll my altitude selector or altitude alert selector there down to 2,900 feet. There we go, 2,900 feet set. Okay, at this point, let's turn right now to heading of about 120, and we'll intercept the 118 bearing and fly that outbound from the Kirkira NDB like we discussed. And let's go ahead at this point and start descending down at 2,900 feet as we fly outbound. Thank you, Rick. I'm hoping it'll be a good one. It's going to be super challenging flying this approach, though. I got to tell you that. It's going to be super challenging. Okay, we flew right through the bearing there, so we're going to have to get back on track. I'm going to have to turn quite a ways here to get back on track. Let's descend down to 2,900 feet here. You can see the bearing there is now 150. I want to get it back on 118.
1,000 to go.
Okay, 1,000 to go. You're going to level off at 2,900 feet. Let's get the speed brakes out to help us slow down here. That'll help greatly. Okay, coming up on 2,900 feet. Gear and horn can be turned off. Okay, let's get flaps, or slats extended. Let's get flaps 5. And let's retract the speed brake. Let's actually arm the speed brake for the landing. And let's go ahead now and start turning back real quick to the 118 bearing. We'll fly at a speed of about 180 knots there. Okay, oh my god, I should have gotten altitude, hold on. 1 second. Actually, let's climb back up here. Want to climb back up to 2,900 feet. I'm going to fly this bearing outbound. I'm going to speed up to about 180 there. Altitude hold engaged, there we go. Okay, gonna watch for that radial to come in there, the 014 radial. Okay, 180 knots there, that's what I'm gonna aim for. Okay. Okay, so there's the bearing there from the NDB. So we're flying the 118 bearing now outbound. I want to fly that outbound until I see the 014 radial, the CDI needle, come in there on the Kirkir VOR. At that point, I can start my turn inbound. So I'm going to maintain 180 knots, 2,900 feet here, until I'm on a fix that's established by the 118 bearing out of the NDB and the 14 radial from the Kirkir VOR. So that's going to be our game plan. Speed up a little bit here. Always struggle a little bit with my throttle settings with this airplane. This is a super tricky approach. And we're in and out of some intermittent clouds here, which makes this even more challenging. Okay, the needle should come in any moment now, at which point we'll start our turn inbound. And once again, when we start a turn inbound, we want to track 315 bearing inbound. So going to watch this super close. There's the needle coming in. Let's go ahead. Once we're on the other side, we'll go ahead and start our turn. Okay, there's the fix. Let's go ahead and start our turn inbound now. Perfect. That actually worked out pretty well. You know, we were within a margin of error there, but that actually worked out reasonably well. I'm pretty impressed. So we'll start our turn inbound. The next thing I'm watching for, once we're established on the 315 bearing inbound, the next thing I'm watching for is for the DME to tick up to 3 DME. At that point, we're going to descend down to our MDA. The MDA is 1,700 feet. So that's going to be our plan. Let's go ahead and put in 1,700 there on the altitude alert selection. So now we're flying, we're going to be flying outbound. I'm watching for the bearing there to tick up to approximately 315. So I'm going to fly slightly left of course here until that actually I'm going to fly a heading of 300 until I see my bearing needle go up to 315. So right now it's at 310. I wanted to come up to 315. And let me slow down a bit there. I was speeding up a bit too quickly. And I'm waiting for my DME to tick up to 3 DME there. Okay, there's 3 DME. Let's go ahead now and descend down to 1,700 feet. That's our MDA. And I'm going to fly this heading until I see that bearing needle tick up to 315. We should have crosswind from the left, so that'll help push us onto that bearing, hopefully. If not, we can help it along by turning about 5 degrees left there. Okay, just going to descend a bit more there. And let's get flaps 10.
15.
Actually, flaps 15 is fine. And we've got a visual, although we are kind of in and out of clouds at this point. We do have a visual. Okay, watching that bearing there, slowly ticking up towards 315. We'll catch it here in a second. Night Shadow final approach speed was, let's see, current gross weight is about 91,000 pounds. So 132 for flaps 40 landing, but with the winds at it's going to be about 150 knots. So with the wind additive, it's going to be about 150 knots. Okay, there's 315, so let's fly a heading of approximately 310 there. Okay, there is 1,700 feet, altitude hold on. So we're going to level off at 1,700. And I've got the airport in sight. So we're going to go ahead and commit now to the landing. So at this point, let's go ahead and disconnect autopilot. There we go, autopilot disconnected. And let's go ahead and fly a downwind there to 18. So I'm going to fly a downwind at this point. I'm going to descend down to 1,500 feet, and we'll fly a downwind to runway 18 there. All right, that was fun, wasn't it? A super intense, super challenging raw data NDB approach. Super challenging. And you can see how hard it was for me to, especially with that super strong crosswind, to really get on the bearing that I was looking for from the NDB. Okay. I'm going to maintain about 150, 160 knots there, somewhere in that range. And once I'm established on downwind here, I can go ahead and get my landing gear down. Okay. At about midfield here, I'm going to get my landing gear down. And we're going to fly a nice long, we're going to extend our downwind here. We're going to fly a nice long final. Okay, landing gear coming down. Let's go flaps 25.
Gear down and locked.
And we'll get flaps 40 once we turn final. So we're going to maintain about 150 knots there. I can. Going to need a lot of thrust to do that. And also, I've got a crosswind from the left, so I got to get a wind correction to the left here to stay parallel to the runway on downwind. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up our landing checklist. Super important. Ignition switches to both. There we go.
Ignition, gear, down, 3 green.
Okay, landing gear is down and locked. Spoilers are armed.
Spoilers, flat out, armed.
Flaps and slats will do that here once we turn final. All right. Super challenging, rainy, gusty crosswind landing here into Corfu. This is going to be crazy. So I'm going to extend my downwind here just a little bit more so that we have a nice, long, comfortable final approach path. I'm below the clouds, got good visibility below the clouds, so as long as I can keep the runway in sight or keep a visual of the surrounding terrain, I can fly a nice, long downwind here. Okay, let's go ahead now and start turning base. So we're going to turn base now.
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet there. Let's go ahead and get
40.
flaps 40 at this point. Going to maintain 150 knots as our final approach speed. Ooh, visibility dropped a little bit there. Okay, I got the runway in sight though, so that's great. Gonna maintain 150 knots there. Flaps 40. Let's go ahead and continue through our landing checklist.
Flaps and slats. Blue light.
Flaps 40, blue light. Annunciator panel is checked.
Annunciator panel checked.
Landing checklist is complete.
Checklist complete.
Okay, I got the pappies there. All right. There we go. Actually, we're nicely lined up there. If I'm reading this correctly, I think we got the runway nicely lined up there. And we're on approach path. We're on the glide path. Got 2 red, 2 white. This is looking fantastic. Incredible, incredible considering we were doing it in the blind because the visibility just kind of dropped on us at the last second. So that's one of the potential drawbacks of extending your downwind. The visibility could just drop on you and the clouds could just roll in on you, right? That's one of the potential drawbacks. Okay, we're going to have a crosswind from the right, like I mentioned. Winds are, let's see, I'm going to do a quick wind check here. Winds are still 180 at 17, gusting 29. Okay. QNH is still 1002. Okay. I'm going to maintain 150 knots. Going to have a nice crosswind from the right. By the way, the crosswind landing technique in this airplane is a bit different from 727 that we flew yesterday. In the 727, you want to land flat. You want to touch down, completely decrab, touchdown on both mains at the same time. In this airplane, you can actually land the way you land crosswind in a 172 or a small airplane, right? You can land with one main down, doing your one wing low technique.
Feet.
Where I get one wing low, and I decrab, and I touch down on one wheel. That's how you can land in the DC-9 apparently.
Feet.
Okay, below 200. A little gusty here. Gonna start bleeding off some airspeed. Got a displaced threshold, as you can see.
100 feet.
Okay, I'm gonna get the one wing low here to line
50,
up.
30.
There we go, touchdown, a little bit off kilter, off center line there, but gonna try and get back. And let's get the reversers out. That was super challenging. You know, the crosswind I felt like it died off there, right as I was about to touch down. Okay. The crosswind kind of died on me, which is the reason I ended up drifting to the right. I thought the crosswind was going to push me back on center line, but the crosswind kind of died out at the last second there. So we ended up a little bit off center line on the wrong side. I thought, if anything, I was going to be ending up off center line on the left side, but the crosswind kind of died on me a little bit, which is the reason I ended up on the wrong side of the center line. Okay, but anyway, it worked out okay. If I was doing this in real life, I would have gone around at that point. You don't want to be that far off center line in an airplane this big. You know, 172 is no big deal. But in an airplane this big, probably not the best idea. Anyway, we're down. Welcome to beautiful Corfu, folks. Those balconies there, you see the little house there, that's actually modeled. Hey, David, how's it going? David, I hope you're doing well. Haven't had a chance to catch up with you too much recently, but I hope you're doing fantastic, my friend. All right, we're going to backtrack here, and we're going to taxi in. I'm just going to leave everything in landing configuration for the replays we're going to check out here. You know what? Given the conditions, I am not too displeased with everything we just saw. Given the conditions, I'm not too displeased. This worked out okay. All right. I just realized something. We're not very far away from TWAT at all. We're only about, I think, like less than 100 miles away from TWAT. How about that? If I had more time for the stream, I probably would do a quick short hop to TVOD or something, but unfortunately, just don't have the time today. All right. Where's the taxiway here? The taxiway is coming up here in just a little bit. Got Alpha 1 and about 500 feet up ahead. Actually, maybe closer to 1,000 feet up ahead. But it's right there. Alright, let's hang it right here onto this taxiway. Taxiway Charlie as per the airport markings, but Alpha 1 as per the most recent chart. The scenery might be a little bit out of date, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and pull into one of these parking spots here. This, by the way, is Flytampa's Corfu scenery. Incredibly good, this one. This is such a great scenery. I'm going to show you around a little bit here in a second. Let's park at parking spot 1 here. Alright, I think that should do it. Let's get lined up a little bit here. Want to be right on that yellow line, right? There we go. Okay, here we are. Wanted to show you something here real quick, folks. This scenery, like I mentioned, it's incredibly cool. I wanted to go to, where is it? The Corfu Balcony. So I mentioned there were these balconies. So this is the balcony we saw from that end of the runway right there, you know, when we were backtracking. These were the balconies right there. So it's pretty cool. The balconies are actually modeled. There's even like a little rooftop restaurant, like seating area up here. And there's like a little church there. That church is actually modeled. There's actually a lot of travel posters from this part of the world that have that specific church in the travel posters. So let's go to that church there. That's super cool. You got the bells model there. You know, you got, you got the bells there. You got the tree actually moves in the wind. You can see how much it's blowing, and the church is connected to the island with this little walkway here. It's like a pier almost, right? Coca-Cola stand. This would be a great plane spotting location. Yeah, totally. You know, I wish the winds favored a landing on 3-4, because then we could have done a landing on 3-4. Anyway, let's go ahead and do a replay here. So let's pull up a quick replay here in ChasePlane. All right. And yeah, let's check out a replay. I want to see just how badly we were off center line there. All right. Again, the weather just changed on me like so quickly. I just couldn't believe how quickly the weather changed on me. Well, look at that. You got a big cruise ship there moving in the harbor. Moving out of the harbor, rather. That's crazy. Costas Stan, how's it going? Costas was saying this is called La Cherena, and the next island called Moose Island. Pretty cool, Costas. Are you from this part of the world, out of curiosity? Wow, look at the town here. This is so beautifully modeled by Flytampa. You got a clock tower there, look at that. There's another clock tower over there, and it looks like a fort over there too. This is so nicely modeled. Bus moving along the airport perimeter road there. So it was doing really well here. It was lined up, and then watch what happens. Yeah, I was anticipating a crosswind, and I think the crosswind just kind of died on me. So I ended up way off center line there. So, if I had a runway that's the width of half this runway, I would have done just fine. The crosswind just kind of died on me at the last second, and that's how I ended up so far off centerline. That's something I got to account for a bit better. But other than that, that was a really smooth landing. Yeah, Costas, P3D is pretty good, especially if you have the right add-ons. It really, really is quite good. For sure. Let's see what it looked like from this angle here.
Don't think. Don't think.
Disregard that.
Don't think. Don't think. Don't think. Don't think.
Yeah, that was a pretty nice smooth touchdown. Only problem was we were off centerline. Yeah, totally, Portland. It's a pretty wide runway. I think I'm fine with it. It's just, you know, and plus I'm not an airline pilot. You know, I couldn't care less about all that airline pilot centerline BS, right? Who cares about that stuff? I think we did okay. And plus, we got back on centerline, right? So that works. Alright, let's do a tower view here. This is such a pretty scenery, I gotta tell you. It's such a beautiful scenery. Costas Stan says you live just 400 meters from that balcony. Holy cow, Costas, that's crazy.
Don't think.
That is amazing.
Don't think.
How do I turn off those don't sink alerts? I don't know.
Don't think.
That's super annoying. Yeah, that wasn't bad for the conditions. You know, it was like 12 knot gusts, so I think the gust, you know, the wind just kind of died on me at the last second. That tends to happen when I'm dealing with gusty crosswinds. For those of you that are tuning in from yesterday, right, you probably remember, that kind of tends to happen to me. David says you're good. You had a lot going on of late, hence your absence. Absolutely, David. I'm glad that you're doing well. I'm glad you were able to catch us. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And yeah, that balcony for sure would be an amazing plane spotting location for sure. That would be spectacular. Okay, let's bring it back a ways, and what I wanted to do was do a wing view here. Let's do a wing view from this side, because I wanted to see all that beautiful, you know, all the stuff in the town here. There we go, okay. That seems like a good view. Yeah, this is going to be a spectacular view right here. You can see the control tabs moving there on the aileron. That's kind of cool. You got a couple of forts here. There's a fort on that little strip of land at the very end of the island there. There's another bigger fort there. Clock tower there.
Don't think. Don't think. Don't think.
This looks pretty. This is such a nicely done scenery.
Don't think. Don't think. Don't think.
Yeah, Night Shadow, totally. I do love the reversers as well. Let me see if I can get you a close-up shot of the reversers, if possible. Except for the centerline thing, that was actually a really good landing. Let me see if I can get you a good shot of the reversers here.
60 knots.
Okay, let's get you a shot of the reversers here. There we go.
Don't think. Don't think.
Sorry about that don't sink alert.
Don't
That comes
think.
on during the replays, unfortunately.
Don't think. Don't think.
I don't know how to turn that off other than to turn the
Don't
sounds off
think.
completely.
Don't think.
Yeah, I gotta turn the
Don't
sounds
think.
off completely
Don't think.
for that to go off.
Don't
Looks like you got a
think.
little flight school or FBO down
think.
there. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that was a nice soft touchdown. And we're going to see the clamshell reversers come out there. I was a little bit late on the reversers, unfortunately. Costa says the other side of the mountain right next to the runway must be an observatory. Yeah, it probably is there, Costas. Or you're saying it is an observatory, right? Yeah, that's super cool. I really do love the scenery, for
60
sure.
knots.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I love those reversers for sure. All right. This is a really fun airplane to fly, I gotta tell you. I really do enjoy flying this airplane. So tell you what, I'm kind of tempted to do a quick hop around the pattern where I turn off the weather so that we have clear skies and I land the other direction so that we can see what that landing looks like from that balcony. Would anybody be tempted for a quick hop around the pattern with clear skies where we just hop around to land going this direction towards 3-4? So we'll do a right pattern to 3-4 here. Anybody up for that? Costas, it's not FS 2020. This is prepared version 4, prepared version 4.5 with what do you call it? With Flytampa's Corfu scenery. I haven't flown in this place in MSFS, so I don't know what it looks like in MSFS, unfortunately. But it does look really good in P3D version 4 for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and do that in that case. Night Shadow and Portland both say absolutely. Okay, that works for me. We got plenty of fuel here, and right off the replay, the airplane started moving. So, so I think we're good. We're definitely going to do that. I'm going to reopen ChasePlane here because I've noticed that if I try to do a replay after I shut down ChasePlane once, it just does not want to work for some reason. We'll do a flaps 15 takeoff here. So we'll taxi down to the end. Let me go ahead and get rid of active sky here. And yeah, beautiful clear skies now. Actually, tell you what, let's get, give me a second here. Let me get in fair clouds or something, so, or fair weather. So that's that really nice kind of preset, right, where you have a little bit of clouds, a little bit of cloud cover. That's going to be pretty. So we'll do this. Let's get flaps 15 there, and let's do a flaps 15 takeoff. So, where's it? Whoops. Our current gross weight is about 91,000 pounds. Let's do a flaps 15 takeoff. Wheel speeds 125, 129, 137. So that's good. Landing lights are still on. Everything is set here, so that's great. Okay. So we're just gonna backtrack here, we'll turn around, we'll depart, we'll do a quick right pattern, and we'll land in the other direction on 3-4. Night Shadow, yeah, you visited Corfu, you said, right? So the hydrofoil right there was very cool, says Night Shadow. Yeah, I can imagine. Portland says, not sure if it's any good in MSFS. The satellite imagery in Google Maps is blurred out. Yeah, you know, it's really hard to get good satellite imagery for, you know, a number of different parts of the world, right? It really kind of depends on how much the governments are willing to have out in the open like that, right? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure as to exactly how all these agreements work, right? but I can't say I've checked the scenery out in MSFS yet. In either case, right, I'm sure that eventually Flytampa will probably bring the scenery to MSFS. Does anybody have the Flytampa Las Vegas scenery for MSFS? Because I was thinking about getting that. I've got the Flytampa scenery for Las Vegas in P3D, and I was shocked that they didn't have a discount if you wanted to get the MSFS version as well. So I've been holding off on that, but I gotta tell you, my mouth is watering. I was super tempted because the pictures look amazing. The pictures really, really look amazing. So I was like super tempted to get that. What's that 1.95 Ifr there for a takeoff Ifr? And yeah, we'll flip around here, we'll take off, and we'll land in the other direction. Or we'll land on 3-4 here. So we'll do a quick right-hand traffic pattern here, and we'll come back and land. Costa says you've never seen that scenario in FS and you play a lot to Corfu. Yeah, Costas, totally. Out of curiosity, Costas, what simming platform do you use? Just generally curious. Okay, altimeter set. Just gonna get rid of the MDA bug there. There we go. And let's go ahead and reset the altitude alert to something a bit more reasonable so it doesn't bother us. There we go. And just give me 1 second here, folks. I'm gonna be parking brake set. I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna step away for a couple of seconds here just to get something I needed in the room. Also, I'm going to quickly pour myself an extra cup of coffee. I'm only going to be gone for about 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, I'll be right back. Let me put you on the be right back screen just so you all know I'm stepped away. I'll be right back, I promise. Alright folks, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just had to quickly refill my cup of coffee. And I'm all ready to go here. Okay, one thing actually, before we actually get going, one thing I wanted to make sure I did was check my my winds in P3D. So let me do that here real quick. User defined weather, customize. What are the winds doing? Actually, winds are calm. Okay, that's great. Okay, never mind. Yeah, winds are calm, so that's great. No excuses to muck up this landing, right? Because winds are calm. Okay, night shadow, indeed it is. It's Kona coffee. That's exactly right. So you know what that means. You know what that means. That means we gotta play this little clip right here, right? we gotta play this little clip right here. That's right. We gotta chug our Kona coffee before we do our quick lap in the pattern here. And let's check in on our check captain as well. Let's see how he's doing. I'm pretty sure he's not too happy about us leaving the gate as soon as we got to the gate without actually letting our passengers depart. Let's see how our check captain is doing. Yeah, he doesn't look super happy with that. On the other hand, you know, my argument is he does work for Hotels.com. As you know, Hotels.com, like this video on YouTube, Hotels.com is on the internet. So you know, he's pretty happy with all the money he's making, I'm sure, at Hotels.com. So he's pretty happy. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up our P3D scene here. Let's get going. Young Rich King, how's it going? Brooklyn 99, that's exactly right. That's the I love that music from the Brooklyn. I love the Brooklyn 99 theme, so that's what we decided to go with today. Let me set my trim here real quick. There we go, trim set. And yeah, we're good to go here. So parking brake released. I think we got plenty of fuel for a quick lap around the pattern. I'm gonna have to land. Let's see what our approach speed is gonna be. Approach speed is gonna be about 136, 137. We're gonna do a flaps 40 landing later. Okay, so just so I have that later. Okay, let's get going, folks. So once again, that balcony that I was mentioning and Kostas said he was living super close to a while back, that balcony is right there. So when we do our final approach along into 3-4 here, my goal is to be able to sit at that balcony and watch us land later for the replay. So let's go ahead and do that. Thank you there, Young Rich King. Much appreciated. I'm glad you get something out of the videos, because I don't know how much I get out of it, to be honest. so I'm glad you get something out of it. That's all I can hope for as a content creator and as a streamer. Okay, let's get going here. So we're gonna stand the throttles up to approximately 1.4 Ifr. Watch for the engines to stabilize. There we go. Engines evenly developing power and stabilizing, and now we're gonna advance the throttles to our takeoff Ifr setting of approximately 1.9 or 5. There it is. Takeoff Ifr set. Airspeed indicators alive.
80 knots.
There's 80 knots. Continue to accelerate here. There's
Rotate.
V1, rotate.
V2. V2 plus 10.
Positive rate. Gear coming up. All right, we're airborne.
Up and locked.
Look at the scenery. This is just spectacular, isn't it? This is gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to back off the throttle a little bit earlier here to approximately 1.9 Ifr, and we'll accelerate here. Actually, we're going to level off at 1,500 feet, so let's go ahead and bring the throttles back to approximately 1.7 Ifr, something like that. Let's get the flaps to flaps 5, and actually I'm going to keep it at flaps 5, and we'll maintain about 180 knots here. I'm going to level off at approximately 1,500 feet. There we go. And let's go ahead and turn right now. Let's go ahead and turn right now towards downwind. So we'll turn crosswind, then we'll turn downwind. You know the drill. I'm sure you know how to fly a traffic pattern. so you know the drill. You know exactly what we're up to, hopefully. So turning crosswind here. Crosswind is on a heading of approximately 070. Gonna back off the throttle there just a little bit, get a little bit of up trim as well. There we go, 070. And just gonna fly crosswind here momentarily, just level off, and then let's go ahead and turn downwind now. Downwind is on a heading of approximately 160. I don't know why that sound is going off. I'm not quite sure what that is. That might be the altitude alert, or it might be something else. Not entirely sure. Let's bring our altitude here up to 1,500. Don't want to be so distracted by sounds I'm hearing in the cockpit that I stop flying the airplane like we did yesterday, right? With the like we did yesterday with the 727. Keep turning right here to heading of about 160. There's the runway there, so we're going to fly a nice downwind here, nicely spaced out from the runway there, so that we have a nice, relatively shallow, easy to manage turn to base and then final later. So we're going to fly about a heading of about 160 there, and let's go ahead and set our speed bugs. Let's arm the speed brakes for landing. Let's set our speed bugs for landing. Current weight is approximately 89,000. So VA of 130, let's assume that our final approach speed is +5 on that, which is 135. So final approach of about 135. Okay. Look at that. Look at all the boats in the sea below us. All these animated boats are part of the scenery package from Flytampa, by the way. That's super cool. You even got like smoke coming off the stacks on the boats there. That's super cool. Gonna take a screenshot. That's super cool. Thank you there, Rick. I do appreciate the very kind words. You guys are far too kind. You guys are far too kind. Okay, we're on downwind there. Gonna get the landing gear down.
Gear down and locked.
Landing gear down, 3 green, gear down and locked. Going to slow down to about 160 knots.
Flaps 15.
Let's get flaps 15 there. And you can notice that horn, that sound of that horn went away there. So I'm suspecting that horn, that sound was probably related to my flaps setting versus my landing gear. That's my guess. I don't know. Costas actually knows exactly where that boat goes from Corfu. That's super cool. It's always nice to have a local, you know, tuning in a chat or chiming in a chat to let us know what's going on. That's always super cool to see. That's what I love about streaming, is you get somebody to jump in live and be a little bit of a travel guide. So that's always super cool. Costas says the boat goes to Ego Minitza from Corfu. Oh, Ego Minitza from Corfu. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and turn right here. So we're going to turn base. Kirkira traffic. Alitalia 321. Turning right base, runway 34, Kirkira, full stop.
$1,000 feet.
Okay, gonna level off at about 1,000 feet there. That's a good heading for base. There we go. On base right now. Just gonna level off here at this altitude, and let's go ahead and get flaps 25. Let's set flaps 40. We'll slow down to our final approach speed of 135. And we want to do our landing checklist at this point. And let's go ahead and start turning final here. We're actually going to be flying a little offset from the final approach path because the terrain on the approach path to runway 34. So it might be flying a little bit of an offset approach path. So how about that? You're gonna get 2 challenging approaches in one stream, because I don't think I can fly straight in with the terrain. I actually got to fly offset a little bit here and make a last-minute correction to roll out in final. So that works for me. Okay, Pappy's starting to indicate that I should start my descent here. Let's do a landing check. Flap set to 40 degrees, landing gear down 3 green, and speed brake is armed. Ignition set to both, landing check complete. Okay, flying a speed of about 135 knots there. That's our final approach speed. That's great. All right. This is looking beautiful, isn't it? Such a spectacular, picturesque place, this. Okay, let's roll out on final here.
$500 feet.
There we go. Nicely established there. A little bit high.
$300 feet.
There we go.
200 feet. Decision altitude plus 100. 100 feet.
50. 30. 10.
Okay, I'm going around here. Let's go flaps 25, gear coming up. I float a little bit for some reason. That landing tone that you hear, that kind of threw me for a loop for some reason. So gears up, flaps 25. Let's get flaps 15. I'm going to go around and I'm going to try this again. I could have done a touch and go, but then I realized that my speed brakes were armed and I didn't want to touch down with the speed brakes out, because as soon as the wheels start turning, we're going to have to commit to you know, stopping. So that's the reason that I that I decided to just go around without touching down. Yeah, that landing tone was super confusing. You know, I thought I was pretty much right over the ground, but then it said 10 feet, and I was like, okay, that's it, I'm going around.
Flaps
Okay,
5.
let's get flaps 5 there. Going to level off at 1,500 feet if I can, and let's go ahead and turn right now to fly a crosswind. So we're going to try this again. That tone was really confusing, I'm not going to lie. It was really confusing. But the approach speeds and everything are going to be the same. Still 135 final approach speed. Going to maintain about 180 knots there. Actually, let's go flaps 15. Yeah, that sound is definitely related to the landing gear. For sure. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, totally. The theremin. I love that, David. That's a pretty apt description there. The theremin ground proximity sound. It does sound like a theremin, doesn't it? For those of you who've never heard a theremin before, search for it on YouTube or Google it. I promise you, you will not be disappointed with the incredible weirdness that you will discover when you Google or search for theremin on YouTube. Night Shadow was asking, can I add speed brake? Night Shadow, yeah, so I had the speed brake armed. That's the reason I didn't touch down, because I had the speed brake armed, and I realized that if my wheels hit the ground, then I would have to commit to stopping in a really, really short distance, which would not have been ideal. So let's actually make sure we arm the speed brake again. There we go. Speed brake armed now for landing. Roll out and heading at 160. Now we're flying downwind. There we go. Flying downwind. I'm going to maintain a speed of about 170 here. And yeah, let's try this again. Round 3, right? Round 3 is what we're on right now. Let's go flaps 15. A little bit of down trim there to maintain 170 knots. Okay, we're at midfield there. Let's go and get the landing gear down. Landing gear coming down.
Gear down. And
There's
locked.
3 green. Gear down and locked. Ignition set to both. Speed brakes armed, and all that's remaining is the flaps on the landing checklist. So we're going to set the flaps, and then we should be all good. Kostas earlier was saying, now in the approach near the airport, you're going to go past a bridge. Everybody stands there and watches the airplanes pass over them. So it's a bit like, you know, Saint Martin, right? Or Skiathos, where you see a lot of that happening. So that's kind of cool. That's pretty cool. Just going to extend my downwind here a little bit. Beautiful clear skies, obviously. Okay, let's give this a shot again. So we're going to turn right now. Going to continue descending down to about 1,000 feet. Let's get flaps 25. Going to slow down to about 150 knots. Got to remember to kick in rudder when I turn as well. There we go. Gonna roll out and a heading of about, I think 250 should be good enough. That'll put me on base pretty nicely. Okay, that should do it right there. There we go. Pretty nice. Just waiting for the runway to come into view. Let's level off at about 1,000.
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet there. There we go. That's good. Okay, got the Pappies in sight. Let's go ahead and start turning in towards the runway there. Let's go to flaps 40. Just going to keep an eye on the runway there. Going to slow down our final approach speed. Flaps 40 set, landing gear down 3 green. Ignition set to boats, speed brakes armed, landing checklist complete. Going to slow down our final approach speed of 135 knots. A little low, but we'll get back on track here. I think given how small the touchdown zone is here, or at least how small the region with the touchdown zone markings is, you know, I probably want to come in a bit low and touch down as early as possible. The runway here is not that short, and plus I can use the displaced threshold to roll out. You know, obviously I can't touch down within the displaced threshold, but I can use the displaced threshold on the other side to roll out, so it's still a plenty long runway. It's just more challenging than it needs to be, given the short touchdown zone markings there. Okay. Gonna try this all over again.
Feet. 200 feet. $100 feet.
50. 30. 10.
There we go. Okay, let's get on the brakes, reversers, speed brakes out. Alright, 80 knots. Nope, not going to be able to make Alpha 1, unfortunately, but we'll make the next taxiway. Okay, speed brake stowed, or reverser stowed. We'll get the speed brakes in once we're slowed down sufficiently. Okay, there's 60 knots. Speed brakes back in, and we'll exit here on Alpha 2. Alright, folks, that worked out a lot better. That worked out a lot better. So we'll hang it right here onto Bravo. Well, it's called Bravo in the airport markings from the scenery, but it's actually Alpha 2, as per the most recent Jeppesen plate that I have. Alright, well, look at that fire station. You got all the fire trucks there. They're actually modeled. That's super cool. Got a little helicopter there. You got a Citation 10. This is super cool. Alright, we're going to check out some replays, of course. We're going to check out tons of replays. Let's just go ahead and stop here, and we'll check out replays from right here. No need to, no need to keep you folks waiting too long. Night Shadow, we might have a stream midweek in MSFS again. So, you know how we flew the DA62 mod? We might fly, you know, we might, what do you call it? We might fly that again midweek, possibly Wednesday. If I have time, we might even do a quick flight tomorrow night, actually. I'm not sure just yet. I have a lot more time all of a sudden this week, so we might do, you know, a flight either tomorrow night, a really quick one, or we might do a bit of a longer one on Wednesday night. So, oh my god, sorry about the don't sync there. I really wish I could turn that off. But let's go ahead and hop over to, you guessed it, let's go ahead and hop over to the balcony. Okay, there's the balcony. Look at that.
Don't think. Don't think.
That's super cool, isn't it? That's super cool. Oh my god, that was buttery smooth. See, it really helps when you have no winds to contend with, right? No winds that'll just die on you. Anybody can have a smooth landing in no winds. But I'm pretty proud of that, especially given how short that touchdown zone was.
60 knots.
I don't think I got my nose gear down in time, but the rest of the airplane was in the touchdown zone, so I'm okay with it. Let's check out another view, because I've got 2 balcony views here, so we're gonna check out a second one here from the balcony, the other balcony view that I have. Oh, we're also gonna do the church. We're also definitely gonna do the church. Totally, David. I love this. I love it. I was about to use another word for stuff there, but I love the stuff. Think of that other word for stuff, and that's what I love. Okay, there's the airplane. You see it?
Don't think. Don't think.
Rick, thanks for hanging out so far, my friend. Hey, you take care. Enjoy your time in home office, Rick. You know, as best you can.
Don't think.
You know, so many of us are
Don't
struck with
think.
home office. I know all
Don't
too well
think.
of that which you speak. Home office is not the most
Don't
fun,
think.
but
Don't think.
you know, hope you can
think.
endure it as best you can. And we're gonna jump to a tower view there. Ooh, literally, look, we were literally just about 100 feet past the markers. We were that close to the markers. 1,000-foot markers there. So, you know what? The touchdown zone markings in that case, let's go back here. The touchdown zone markings in that case aren't really fully inclusive of the actual touchdown zone. Because in reality, the touchdown zone goes quite a ways beyond those 1,000-foot markers, right? Literally, there's just, you know, like a 500-foot marker beyond the touchdown zone. Or, correction, beyond the touchdown markers, the aiming point markers there. So, yeah, you know, in reality, you can probably touch down a bit further down there. A little bit off center line. Oh, well. Okay, let's go to the church. I want to see the view from the church there, because that's going to be super cool as well. Let's go to the church. Okay. Where's the airplane? It's somewhere around here.
Don't think.
Hold on, where is the airplane? I lost the airplane. I don't think it passed us yet, so hold on. Let's just stay here for a little bit until the airplane...
Don't think.
Oh, there it is. There's the airplane. Hold on. David Dempster says Swan Lake on the right-hand side. Yeah, Costas. Super embarrassing. You know, I'm an IRL pilot as well, right? I don't fly
Don't think.
big airplanes, but
Don't think.
that would be super embarrassing to
Don't
lose an
think.
airplane. Wow, look at that. That's super cool. You got the seawall there. I think I have a view from the seawall also. Let's go to the seawall there. There's the marina. Where's the seawall view that I have? Corfu shore grass. Ah, there we go. Yeah, this one's going to be nice. This view is going to be amazing. There you go. Look at this.
Don't think. Don't think. Don't think.
And once again, folks, my apologies for the stupid don't sync thing that keeps coming up. That is so annoying.
Don't think. Don't think.
Hold on. Just gonna zoom the view around here a little bit so we can watch the landing from here. Ooh, look at that. Nice. That was super cool. You know, I've noticed with this particular aircraft, unlike the MD-80 or the 717, I always have a really tough time getting it perfectly on centerline. I'm not quick enough on the rudder and the ailerons
60 knots.
to get it perfectly on centerline. I've noticed that with this airplane. Part of the reason, right, is because the airplane response at approach speeds is super sluggish. And it's super sluggish because this airplane doesn't have conventional hydraulic controls, right, like you do in modern, modern narrow bodies. What you have instead are control tabs on the wingtips, and those control tabs kind of, here I'm going to show you these control tabs in the ailerons. Those control tabs kind of change, know, how the airplane kind of feels. I want to see a view from this side, folks. I want to do a wing view here real quick. And we're about 3 hours streaming time, so I want to finish my stream here pretty quickly. Let's bring it back to about here. And we're going to bring it back to about here. There we go. That's looking good. And we'll probably finish the stream hopefully in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Night Shadow was asking, can I do a sunset? I probably can, Night Shadow. Yeah, we could try and do that. I hope my sim doesn't crash, but we could try and do that real quick. Give me a second. Actually, let's try and do it right now. 1 second, I gotta go to my desktop capture scene, otherwise it's gonna be blank here. Okay, desktop capture scene. I want to change this to sunset, so I gotta do this in 30-minute increments. Give me a second here. Okay, hold on. We're just gonna do this in 30-second increments here. 16. Otherwise, it's gonna try and do a whole long loading process. Okay. So did I say 30-second increments? I meant 30-minute increments. Okay, almost there. Let's go to 17. Something like that. Okay, hold on. Yeah, almost there. Okay, let's bring it up just a little bit here. Okay, there's sunset. There we go. So this should be a pretty nice view here.
Don't think. Don't think. Don't think.
Yeah, everything's lit up. That looks super cool.
Don't think.
And you got the shadow of the airplane there too. You see the shadow? There you go. Touchdown. Barely felt that touchdown, right? That was super smooth. It's nice when it works out that way. Of course, you know, it helps when you have no winds to deal with, essentially. that helps a lot. That looks pretty, doesn't it? 1 second here. I'm just going to change the time a bit more. I'm just going to change it back. Let's say about 10 minutes. Let's see if that... yeah, actually, that helps a little bit. I just want to get the sun actually... Where's the sun at? Can we even see the sun? This is why you tune into the DJ Aviator channel, folks, so that you can, every once in a while, hear existential questions such as, can you even see the sun? Is the sun real? What is the meaning of life? These are the reasons you tune into the DJ Aviator channel. I just want to get the lights back on, the city lights, because what I wanted to do was... 1 second, hold on. A couple more minutes here. I wanted to do a there's the lights again. Okay, perfect. What I wanted to do was I wanted to do a replay where we can actually see the takeoff, right? So let's go back to the takeoff. Okay, here's the takeoff. Oops. Actually, this was the go-around. I want to see the go-around. This is going to be cool. And actually, wait a second. Where's my my logo light? Floodlights. Ground floodlights. There we go. Wing nacelle lights. There we go. I don't think there's a logo light, unfortunately. Or maybe there is. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's look at the go around here. So you see how how close I was to touching down before I decided to do the go around. I was literally about 3 feet over the ground, and I decided to do the go around.
Flaps 25.
Gear coming up. That's a logo on the overhead. Thank you there, Goldwyn. Much appreciated. Hello to you, Goldwing, by the way. I don't think I've seen your name in chat yet, but hello to you.
Flaps 15.
Little rental car station down there. Avis rental car. Avis. However the hell you pronounce it. I've never rented from them before. Look at all the lights in the city. This is beautiful. The fort is fully lit up there. There's a clock tower with a little warning light, like a beacon on top. Beautiful city, this. What is the name of the city? Is it Kirkira? Is that the name of the city here? Costas, if you're still with us. Akmal, hello to you. Akmal says good morning from your country. Well, whereabouts in the world, Akmal, are you tuning in from, sir?
5.
Night Shadow says check right captain won't like that go around. Probably not, Night Shadow. Let's check in with our check right captain real quick. Let's see what was going on with him. Yeah, I think he's being sarcastic there. I don't think he was too pleased with that one. But you know what? Despite the fact that we're doing replays, he's still gone right back to eating popcorn. So, you know, it doesn't take too much to make our check ride captain happy. And the reason for that, obviously, is because, in case you're not aware, he is a spokesperson for Hotels.com. Hotels.com. It's on the internet. Okay. Anyway, I gotta collect my commission from Hotels.com. Kostis Stan says yes, Kirkira. Awesome, Kostis. Thank you for that. Okay, let's go back to the actual touchdown here. I wanted to do a belly cam. That's what differentiates my channel from the rest, right? Is the belly cam shots. Hold on. Got to bring this back a ways to give everything time to get set, like the landing gear, flaps, etc. Okay, there's the belly cam shot. You know you want it. You know you want it. You know this is the shot you've been waiting for all stream. You know this is the shot you've been waiting for. Wow, just look at the reflections of everything in the water. That looks beautiful, doesn't it? We're gonna check out the balcony at sunset as well, by the way, before we go for the day. We're definitely gonna check out the balcony as well. The church is all lit up too, it looks like, on that little island there.
300 feet.
You got the approach lights there. You got the reflections of the approach lights as well.
100 feet.
My God, it looks so realistic, doesn't it?
Don't think.
Night Shadow, you, sir, are a man after my own heart. I very much appreciate that. I put a lot of effort into my belly cam shots, so whenever people get something out of it, that is incredibly rewarding to me. Oh my God. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna watch that touchdown again. We're gonna watch that again. That is so satisfying.
Don't think. Don't think.
That is so satisfying right there. Ooh. I think this is how Homer Simpson feels like after he's had about a dozen sliders and a case full of Duff's beer, right? This is how Homer Simpson feels. Yes, exactly, Portland. Exactly. Those are the sounds you want to be hearing. Okay, let's do a balcony view here real quick. Okay, balcony shot. I'm just gonna change the time here back by 1 second. Back by about that much. That'll give us a bit more daylight. And let me go to the balcony 1 second. Where's the balcony? Balcony is where's it? There it is. There's the balcony. Perfect. Actually, wait. There's a second balcony. This one's better. We'll go to the second one in a little bit here once we see the thing going past. Okay, here we go. Can you guys spot the airplane there? There's the airplane. Wow, that's spectacular. And you got the reflection of the airplane in the water too. Oh my God. That looks amazing. And there's the touchdown. Actually, we gotta do Oh, we got to do the what was it? The shore one. Where's the shore? Not that one. Oops, where'd it go? Shore. Shore. There we go. The view from right here at the end of the runway. Sorry, folks, if you're just tuning in, this is the portion of the stream where DJ decides to bore you with nothing but glamour shots of a totally not challenging in any way, shape, or form landing. DJ decided to wimp out, get rid of all the crosswinds, get rid of anything that could make this landing challenging, just so we could get some fantastic glamour shots of the landing in the spectacular scenery. My God, you know, I'll tell you what, as an airplane buff, as an av geek, I could just imagine sitting here, sitting here and just watching airplanes land, you know, or just sitting here and enjoying the peace and quiet and the occasional sound of jet engines, you know, overhead. I could just imagine sitting here and having a wonderful time. Totally chillaxing there. Wow. Hold on. Okay, I wanted to do a view where we can watch the clamshell reversers deploy. So I wanted to do a view from like right about here. Wanted to get the tail too. Yeah, there we go. So let's do this view, and then we'll be done for the day. You know, I promised we were going to be done with the stream in 10 minutes, about 15 minutes ago, and I feel like this is becoming a thing with me. You know, where I say, okay, the stream is going to end in 5 to 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes later, I'm like, what happened? What happened? I said 15 minutes, or I said 10 minutes 15 minutes ago.
Don't think.
Wow, look at this.
Don't think.
Yeah, totally there. Totally. At Gullwing, it's good to hear other people also indulge in the same practice. Oh my God, that was butter. That was buttery smooth. I'm glad we decided to land this way. Okay, we're gonna do one more balcony shot, and I think that's gonna be it, folks. Oops. What is going on?
60 knots.
There we go. That's a shot. Okay. I wanted to bring it back for a cleaner balcony shot, because I think the one we had earlier was not exactly the cleanest. This is the one I wanted, right? Or was it number 2? Second. Yeah, this is the one, actually. Number 2. That's the one. Okay. Absolutely. Baklava Night Shadow, with the Night Shadow coming in there with the Greek references. I love it. Portland, yeah, totally. I would totally get blasted like 10 miles. But, you know, I'm thinking the trade-off is worth it. You know, plus you get launched into water, right? Your chances of survival are like 50-50. Which is a better chance than we gave our virtual passengers yesterday with the cabin depress in the 727. Wow, look at that sunset. Holy smokes. That sunset is just spectacular. Wow. Hold on. I gotta get a screenshot right here. Hold on. Let's bring the airplane back. I gotta get a screenshot right here. Okay.
Don't think.
There we go. Wow, look at that. Hold on. I want to make sure I get the balcony in picture. Oh my God, look at the screenshot. Hold on. That's our screenshot for the stream, folks. That's our screenshot. There we go. Hold on. There we go. That's the screenshot right there. So that's probably going to be the screenshot for our stream today. Wow. That's super cool. Alright, I'm glad we did this. Night Shadow, I'm so glad you recommended a sunset replay. That's one of the cool things about ChasePlane versus the X-Plane 11 default replay system. With X-Plane 11, if you do a flight at a certain time of day, the replay system is tied to that specific time that, you know, even if you change the time in the sim,
69.
the replay system will be tied to that. With ChasePlane, I can change the time of day, and I can still do my replays without having any issues, which is super cool. All right, folks, this was super fun. I really enjoy this. Thank you all for hanging out. Let me bring this back a ways, and actually, you got to cue up some outro music first of all. Let's see, what do we want to do today for outro music? We might go with let's see, what do I want to do for outro music today? I'm not entirely sure. We might do a little bit of Evening Land, actually. I haven't done that in a while. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to add that to the outro. There we go. Let's get rid of... actually, that's fine. Okay. And, let's go back to chill stream. Okay, let me catch up on chat before I get going. Kostas, hey, thank you once again for coming in, my friend, and regaling us with all your insider info on this beautiful island that you happen to call home. This is certainly a beautiful place. And for those of you that were on the stream all the way from beautiful Naples, Italy, especially the locals from Napoli who tuned in earlier, if you're still with us, thank you so much for all the insider info on the birthplace of pizza. We certainly appreciated it. Especially those of us pizza-loving Americans, right? Thank you all for taking time to hang out today. This was super fun. I know I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. I am going to be streaming again midweek, quite likely. We're going to be in the Pacific Northwest, and we're going to be doing a bit of flying in the default DA62 with a completely freeware mod sometime midweek, either potentially tomorrow night, but it's very, very unlikely, but much more likely Wednesday night. So we're going to do a hop from Portland International, about that Portland aviation. We're out of your neck of the woods. We're going to do a hop out of Portland International to Bremerton IFR, and then we're going to go from Bremerton to check out Orbx's Orcas Island scenery VFR. So we'll do a little bit of VFR flying in the San Juan Islands, which should be absolutely beautiful. So if you happen to have MSFS and you are available on Wednesday night, I strongly recommend having a group flight with us in multiplayer. I'd love to have you guys fly along and check out some beautiful sights in the Pacific Northwest with me. So hopefully we'll catch some of you on Wednesday night. Again, there's an odd chance it might end up being tomorrow night, depending on how things are looking for me tomorrow. But very likely it's going to be Wednesday night. So yeah, Portland, the flight beam scenery is amazing. You've actually got the strip malls, to the I think the east of the airport. It's pretty amazing. I remember driving around that strip mall, the last time I was in Portland, because I had a bit of time to kill before I had to hop back on the airplane. This was like, sometime last year, I think, or the year before, not last year. Last year was a bad year. The year before last year. And I was like, holy cow, that scenery just looks so similar. Anyway, we'll talk all about that scenery in MSFS either Wednesday or tomorrow. But hope to catch some of you then. And that should be a ton of fun. I'm sorry, folks. I'm kind of just hanging around here because I'm trying to figure out the replay time. So it's 01:13 there. I want to bring it back to about there. That should do it. Okay. We'll bring back to about here. I'm just going to change the time of day in the sim here just a smidgen so we have a bit more light out. That's going to be beautiful. All right, folks. Hey, I want to thank you all so much for hanging out. This was super fun. Y'all stay safe, stay healthy, wear a mask, all that jazz, of course, and hope to catch some of you hope to catch some of you either Wednesday or potentially tomorrow on the off chance that I end up streaming tomorrow. In the meantime, y'all stay safe and healthy, wear a mask when you go outside, all that stuff, keep your friends and family safe, and thank you all so much for hanging out. This was super fun. We'll catch you next time. Blue skies and tailwinds, y'all. Bye-bye.